I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Joel.
And every week we meet to discuss a certain number of pages, usually around 90, of George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. We are currently on book 2, A Clash of Kings. And this week we had a lot of fun with new point of view characters like Davos and Theon, which we'll get to at the end of this meeting. But
Did we have fun with that last one?
it's always fun at the Iron Islands, Joel.
Okay.
It's the most fun place in Westeros. But welcome back, guys. We're happy to be back. We have a new addition to our set deck. This is a stuffed fox that Chelsea and I bought at an animal rescue place, and we named him Sir Axel Florent because the sigil of the Florents is a fox, and he quickly became fast friends with Lucy, which you may be able to tell by the frayed furs all around him. But because we meet Sir Axel in this week's reading, we decided, hey, Lucy's toy can come over here, and hopefully she won't jump up on the table and steal him at some point. Or maybe, hopefully, she will, because that'd be really cute.
She's sitting right here. She knows we have him.
She's just gonna jump up and like destroy our audio.
Yeah.
Hey, if you need to sacrifice him to her lore, you need to. You know?
This next week's reading. This is this week's reading. That's still the same.
Oh yeah, fix that. Cool. Intro. How's everyone feeling?
Good.
How you feeling, Joel?
I'm feeling.
Yeah, Joel, this is your
Yeah.
first time through Clash.
It's true. I'm feeling good. I'm still at the point of being familiar with the events that are happening because of Game of Thrones, the show, but because of not having gone back to the show in a long time and just have had Game of Thrones, the books and the characters are taking on their own identity.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
exciting.
mean, as I was just saying, sometimes it's really hard to differentiate a show character from a book character. Like Saldor San, who we get a lot of in this week's reading, is not a black character in the book. He's Lysine, which I'm pretty sure are always white. But because the actor who plays him in the show is so great at the role, and so...
I mean,
They're-
it's splitting hairs. Wouldn't they be more like Mediterranean, olive
Sure.
skinned? I mean, if we're a black Lysine probably isn't out of the question.
Okay. But he's not described as black in the book.
Sure.
But because of his depiction on the show, I just imagine that guy. Because
The actor does a great job.
He's so great, yeah. I wish I knew his name to give him props. Okay, let's get into it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. John 1,
Sure.
our first John chapter of
Getting into it.
Yes. First John chapter of A Clash of Kings sees John talking to Sam in the library, and then going up and talking to Mormont, where Mormont, well, actually, he stops in the yard and talks to Donal Noy for a little bit.
Yeah.
The coolest fucking dude.
Yeah, always shirtless. Just always shirtless and barrel chested.
I always imagine him just an apron, like leather apron.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Is he wearing pants?
Doesn't matter.
It depends on the time
No,
of
because
day.
I just imagine like the armory has like a saloon door where it's like split. So like he doesn't have pants on, but you don't know because the bottom half of the door is closed.
All your swords were made by a pantsless man.
Yeah.
And then finally, John talks to Lord Commander Mormont and gets like 3 pages of backstory on
Yeah.
the Targaryen
A lot
dynasty.
of history
Oh,
this week.
Yes.
I wanted
There's a lot
to
all over the
draw
place.
like a family tree of Targaryens, but I didn't have time
I
because
love it. I
it
love it.
confuses me. I have like
This
read.
is like the part where it gets really confusing.
Yeah, I've read and reread and reread the Targaryen lineage, and when it gets to the point where you have Aegon the Unworthy and all that bullshit, it's so confusing. And I kind of think I have to admit to myself that I just don't really care a ton about Targaryens.
Oh no, I do. I love
I
this
agree.
stuff.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I care in as much as Maester Aemon and Egg
yeah.
from Dunk and Egg. But outside of that, like, who's who and who could
Yeah.
maybe
But they-
be somebody's.
But they all have so many cool stories about
I
them,
know,
guys.
and it does feed into Blackfire rebellions. Like
Exactly.
it's the same
Exactly,
people,
yeah.
so it's important to know because that comes up later. But it's just a lot.
Well, I will happily take the title of
Yeah.
Game of Thrones historian if you guys don't care that much. And I was curious. I wanted to ask people who were reading how you felt about, because it's a huge information dump. Like I said, it's like I might have
starting
exaggerated
there.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, why not?
We have to talk about Sam though. Someone's already like, no, Sam, which I agree. I want to talk about Sam.
Yeah, Sam
and
is
his
Belle from Beauty and the
library.
Beast.
Okay, sure. We can start
It's
from the beginning in the
amazing.
library.
Yeah. I'm gonna get the coffee.
I do want to
Thank you.
mention John real quick while Chelsea gets the coffee. Just one little observation about John. He's respectful enough to the importance of books to not have a candle by the old dry paper. Like, he's like, oh, this is a bad idea. I should blow out my candle. Like,
Yeah,
right
he
at the beginning,
shows
says,
the-
John blew out the taper he carried, preferring not to risk an open flame amidst so much dried paper. Do you think that's like, oh, these are important books, or I don't want to burn down Castle Black?
Yeah, I think it's I don't want to burn down another part of Castle Black.
Oh, another part of Castle Black, sure. But, like, I still thought that was, like, noting that detail was important to show that John is aware of his surroundings.
Sure.
Like, that's just, I think there's a couple little things in this chapter where we're starting to get more and more of, like, why John is poised in a position to lead. I think we're starting to see the things we don't get as much, like, whiny, entitled John.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, Game of Thrones John is starting to go away, and we're starting to get Clash Storm John, who has a different story to tell. I think that, and Chelsea, you were getting the coffee, but I think that this is the start of a different John than Game of Thrones. He's not as whiny, not as entitled. He's starting to accept his role as, he even says it to Sam, when Sam's like, well, you could take care of the Ravens, but John's like, no, I am Lord Commander Mormont's steward. I have to squire for him, pitch his tent, do all these things that he bitched about before. Now he's accepting as his role and taking very seriously.
But he also, I think, doesn't want to attend to the Ravens because on page 95 he's very dismissive of the life of the mind that Sam seems to really enjoy living. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure part of that is Sam likes to retreat to those things in order to avoid violence and conflict since he's such a craven. But John is like, who cares how much pickled cod they ate 600 years ago? Mm-hmm. And Sam's like, no, you can learn a lot from that. And John's still just dismissive. They ate food and they lived as we live. And even here, when Sam calls the information a treasure, John thinks treasure means gold, silver, and jewels, not dust, spiders, and rotting leather.
Yeah, I mean, he still has a long way to go. But I think
Well, I don't even know if that's like he's short on the evolutionary scale. I think it's just the kind of person John is. He's a military-minded person. He's a leader.
Yes.
He's not an academic. He's not a maester.
But I feel like part of being a leader, and especially being a Lord Commander, as he's clearly being groomed to be, is understanding that stuff like that is important and is a treasure
he's going
to behold.
Yeah.
So he still has some growing to do.
It's going to be important come dance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's moved a little further, but still has some room to grow. But I do like how Mormont's telling the tale of Aemon and comparing the position that he was in to John's with Robb newly kinged. It's showing that same conflict that John had last book, and then upping the stakes, and then reaffirming John's commitment by saying that I will struggle with this, but I will keep true to my vow.
And that's the purpose of all that exposition dump, is for him to reiterate that point that Aemon made when he ousted himself as a Targaryen. It's like, hey, like, yeah, you could go help your brother who's now styling himself as a king, but Aemon also could have been king. It's not just a familial loyalty that Aemon's conversation had to do with. It's also like that, the importance of a royalty.
Yeah, and we even learned that Aemon was the one who removed himself to the wall so he wouldn't cause problems for his family.
I wonder, though, because I think it was motivated to have this discussion because of Robb's situation and, you know, comparing him with John, like you said, Joel. But it's a lot of information for Lord Commander. Like, I'm just imagining the reality of the situation. Them, like, standing there in his you know, quarters, whatever, and just, like, Mormont, like, gazing out a window going on about Targaryen history, and it seems strange. Like, it's a lot of Targaryen history for a character to reiterate. Not, like, Tyrion to remember, or, like, you know, Catelyn to remember.
It's
or
verbalized.
Somebody.
It's a dialogue.
And
yeah.
that seemed a little bit clunky to me.
So that seemed clunky to you?
It did, because it was we get a lot of that in this reading, and it's bummed me out kind of about. I was so excited for Clash, and this kind of stretch has kind of bummed me out about it, that we're getting just a lot of, like, information dump.
I want to survey everyone. How did everyone feel about this?
Chels?
It didn't bug me. It's a lot.
Did you zone out? Did you not care about all this stuff, this lineage?
I tried to pay more attention, and I tried to kind of visualize in my head, like, okay, fourth son, and it just got so confusing that I kind of glazed over it.
Okay, all of us have read at least that part of the World of Ice and Fire, the Targaryen history. Joel, you have not, as far as I know.
No.
So all of this being relatively fresh information, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, it was interesting, especially to think for me before that the Targaryens were a fairly unbroken line. I guess clearly that's not the case, especially with councils and fourth sons of fourth sons. I think in this chapter and in the Catelyn chapter, as we get more exposition about Harrenhal, both times I checked because I want to make sure it was working for me and not just because I was learning new information about the world that was cool.
Joel, your neck is covering your microphone.
Oh no, my neck.
Clip it on the outside.
Let's do that. How do I? Let's
I'm gonna tilt the light more towards Joel, because Joel looks like he is in like a cave.
and in the black
I
shirt.
might turn like
All
a lamp on.
Is this?
if that's
Wait, did I
cool.
do it? Is it
Yes,
good?
there
okay,
you go.
Good.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I just saw that, and it's just like totally
Oh
covering
god,
the
that'll be great for audio.
Is it cool if I turn this on?
Yeah. Warm it up a
So
little bit.
yeah, it feels dank in here, and not in like the cool way, like in like the Pike way.
Yeah.
It's just dark.
So I liked learning more about the world, but I also think that for me it was enough motivated by the exposition was covered by George showing through action where we are in the world and why we would be talking about these things. So I was okay with it.
Okay. For me, I've read World of Ice and History a bunch, like all this stuff. I've listened to podcasts about...
Sorry.
What's up?
We saw the
Joel is actually Smeagol.
No.
Hey.
Damn it, Katie. Okay, sorry.
I've listened to many podcasts about Targaryen history. Like, I've lived with these characters so much that to read about it in A Song of Ice and Fire was really exciting for me. Like, even when near the beginning when he's talking about how the eldest of his uncles, the heir apparent, was slain in a tourney mishap. That takes place in the Dunk and Egg story. So
Yes.
you actually see that happen. And so it's cool to like read that and be like, oh, and here's more. There's like I'm imagining a little footnote there, see Dunk and Egg, and
Yeah.
read an entire story about this incident.
Having read Night of the Seven Kingdoms now, this passage was a lot more interesting because I had that context and I know those characters more.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more like if you enjoyed this passage and have not read the Night of the Seven Kingdoms novellas, get those. They're all in one book now. It's a really pretty hardcover book, so check that out. And you can use the Amazon link in the description below
Yeah.
to check that out if you so choose.
Other than that Targaryen exposition dump and his nice little scene with Sam, he does talk to Donal Noy.
Yeah,
And
I have a couple notes on that.
Sure, because there's a paragraph in here that is cited so often about the Baratheons.
Yes.
Ro-
I was thinking about this last week. I didn't bring it
Yeah.
up because I was like, I think someone says this in the books. I wasn't sure if it was like just something people say about those characters.
Yeah.
But no, it's
You want to read it for us, Joe?
what page is
It's
it?
99 toward the bottom.
99. Okay. The armorer considered that a moment. Robert was the true steel. Stannis is pure iron, black and hard and strong, yes, but brittle the way iron gets. He'll break before he bends. And Renly, that one, he's copper, bright and shiny, pretty to look at, but not worth all that much at the end of the day.
Yeah, and before that it was Robert as steel as some men are like swords made for fighting, hang them up and they go to rust.
Yeah.
So steel, iron, and copper, the Baratheon brothers,
Yeah.
new album.
I also think it's interesting that right after that, John wonders what metal is Rob, and in the Catelyn chapter, we get the description of the crown of winter as bronze and iron. And I think that, given the description of iron in this, and bronze, is copper involved in the making of bronze? I forget how bronze is made.
I don't know.
I don't really know. But
Bronze is more malleable, right?
Yeah. and
Than
it's-
copper? No, copper's
No,
like...
not than copper.
Oh,
iron.
then
than
iron. Yeah.
Because it's a
Alloy?
yes. So I found that interesting. That in the discussion of metals, and when John says what metal is Rob. Also, the pun on metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Metal and metal.
Yeah.
Like M-E-T.
MEDDLE.
Yeah.
And
Wait, M-E-T-T.
wait, no,
M-E-T-T.
METT.
Yeah.
Yes.
And metal.
And I guess it's all over the
He's
place.
also meddling
Yeah.
with the throne.
So I really like that. I also just I really like the line Donal Noy says when he's describing the new recruits, and he says, "With such do we defend the realms of men." I like that the way that phrase is structured. You know immediately it's sarcasm.
Yes,
Like-
it's so formal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I especially from a blacksmith.
Yeah. I wanted to press on
yeah.
this with you guys, though, because when I read this, I could take it as is, receive Donal Noy's assessment, and say that it's true. I wonder if he's biased, though, and that might not be true of Stannis, because he's clearly in Robert's camp.
There,
Or at least Robert for
Yeah.
when he was a warrior.
Sure.
the Radio Westeros article episode on Stannis goes into this a ton about how the entire realm considers him this brittle, unbending man, but that the evidence throughout the series shows that he actually adapts to his current situations. I mean, we see a little bit of it in the Davos chapter.
Yeah, we're already seeing him give up the religion he's had all his life for a new one that could help him.
I also think even just the character of Davos, period, is proof of that. To forgive a smuggler and raise him up because of the service that he's done is adapting to the situation, where if he were true iron in this respect, breaking before he bends, he would have just had Davos executed.
Yeah.
It's a problem for leaders when there is a prevailing narrative that they have to fight against, and yet there are facts that prove them wrong, yet the narrative remains.
Are you talking about
The current election?
Comey?
Talking about anything in this current
Comey!
election.
I thought you were talking about foreshadowing for Jon, but
I
sure.
thought you were talking
No.
about the distasteful rumors that Joffrey is not King
Yeah.
Robert's son.
Sure.
Disgusting rumors.
It's
that
a
aren't
universally applied piece of wisdom.
The story about this is jumping ahead, but it relates to this. The story about the hawk.
Yeah.
His pet hawk
So good.
is kind of, and him being like,
forgot about
I need a new hawk, is him adapting and evolving.
Yeah.
That's like a,
Exactly.
so.
We meet Thorin Smallwood. Does he become important at all?
Kinda.
Okay.
He continues this fight of I should be first ranger
Yeah.
for a long time.
Which I also didn't realize that Stark remains first ranger until we know for certainty that he is dead. Is that true? Because Jeremy Riker was definitely walking around calling himself first ranger before he got killed.
I don't think
I think.
a formal first ranger is announced until much later.
Okay. But yeah, so Thorin Smallwood's around. He was one of Elser Thorne's henchmen, and he doesn't like Jon. I think he's just a name to know. One of many.
I really like this little expression on 101, speaking of 101. The hair, you're talking about Mormont, the hair on his head that he had retreated from Mormont's spotted scalp and regrouped beneath his chin in a shaggy gray beard that covered much of his chest. I just liked the image of like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hate when Sam's stammering. I hate it.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
How is that in the audiobook? Is it
It's
just as
it's
annoying?
insufferable in the audiobook.
I'm sure there's some ridiculous voice for Sam.
Yeah.
Your descriptions of the audiobook make me not want to listen to the audiobook.
Just wait. We're going to talk about it later today.
I think on page 105,
Unless you want to listen to the audiobook, you can use the Audible code below.
It's fun.
On page 105, there's a great line from Mormont when the bird is saying king, an easy word to say, an easy word to like, obviously denoting it's an easy thing to call yourself a king, much harder to actually rule and practice as one, which is obvious as we have now, we're up to 4 kings at this point. We got Joffrey, the Baratheon bros,
At
and
this point
and
in
Robb.
this chapter, yeah.
and
4.
Robb. And then, yeah, by the time that we end our reading, we're up to 5. We're up to the titular 5. Although, arguably, Mance is already styling himself King Beyond the Wall.
I don't think that counts.
It doesn't count as far as the War of the
Because
Five Kings. But
he's not
He doesn't
a king
come into
in
conflict.
Westeros.
yeah, he's not in. Well, is Westeros the name of the realm or the continent?
He's not a king in the 7 kingdoms.
Yeah, he's not a king in the realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like the UK versus Britain
Yeah.
sort of thing. But then,
This line, my lord, why have you told me this about Maester Aemon? Which I was wondering the whole time too.
hey man, must he have a reason? But right before that, while the raven is croaking king over and over,
Oh, yeah.
all the while his eyes never left Jon Snow. there's a lot of stuff theorizing about the Raven, Mormont's Raven, and if he is Blood Raven, if he has some kind of connection to weirwood.net, but you can always try to read a little bit more into them, and I've been trying that during this read-through to read into the Raven and what he's saying and what he's doing, and most of the time he's just fucking talking about corn. So for me, there's not much there, but this is the first time where it really pointed out the Raven saying King looking at John. Future
And
King
if
of the
you've
North.
thought that, oh, it'd be cool to kind of take all the words that the Raven says in italics, and some people have already done it.
Yeah.
It doesn't amount to a ton. You could try and read into it if you wanted to, but there's nothing to decode there, if that's what you're wondering. I've wondered that before. If you can like take all those words in italics and like unscramble them, and it's like a crazy
There's
sentence.
something coherent there.
It's not, don't worry. And there's also, I think someone has theorized that corn is actually like corn half-hand, which I like.
He's saying corn
Yeah.
instead of corn.
Ugh. That doesn't seem. That would make sense.
Oh yeah? Does Hodor and Hold the Door make sense?
Spoilers.
But that's true, Chelsea.
Do we have much more? John?
I'm done with this John chapter. It's fine.
There's
I love
a
the
little
Targaryen
more.
history. Oh, what do you want to say?
Well, yeah, we haven't really talked about.
Wait, I want to talk about. Sorry, go ahead. No, I just got excited. Go ahead.
I just want to talk about John and Sam a little more. There's a nice thought from John where he's remembering words that Ned told him on page
Yes,
96.
that's true.
There's no shame in fear, my father told me. What matters is how we face it. And that's when Sam is saying that he's afraid, and John is admitting he's afraid too. And that's going right back to Ned's words about when you can be brave, and that's when you're afraid.
There's a little ghost thing too on the next page. Ghost was stretched out asleep beneath the wattle and daub wall of the granary, but he woke when John appeared. I just thought that was interesting. Any direwolf Stark connection is always something to kind of think about.
And just,
Yeah,
I
Shel,
love.
what did you
Sorry,
think?
I just really like this paragraph on page 106. Taking into consideration all that we know happens to Robb and all that we theorize is going to happen to John. And I just want to read it because I think it's cool.
Okay.
They will garb your brother Robb in silks, satins, and velvets of 100 different colors while you live and die in black ring mail. He will wed some beautiful princess and father sons on her. You'll have no wife, nor will you ever hold a child of your own blood in your arms. Robb will rule, you will serve. Men will call you a crow. Him they'll call your grace. Singers will praise every little thing he does, while your greatest deeds all go unsung. Tell me that none of this troubles you, John, and I'll name you a liar and know I have the truth of it. And it's really sad when we think like Robb doesn't really get any of that.
Yeah.
You know?
He comes close.
He does have
to,
a wife.
Well,
Yeah, the princess and the father a son on
But
her,
they do dress him up and they do sing song of him. He does have this legend of the young wolf, even though that legend gets skewed later on.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting is the way that John reacts to that. Whereas, in game when to my earlier point, in game when he hears about Ned, he like tries to run off. When he hears that Robb called the banners, he tries to run off. But then here he says right after that passage you just read, which I agree is great. And if it did trouble me, what might I do, bastard that I am? What will you do, Mormont asks, bastard as you are? And John says, be troubled and keep my vows, which shows some growth in him. And I really love that moment, and I feel like this is the beginning of a turning point for him, where he has this very real jealousy situation brought up before him. And we'll get more of it later of all he's ever wanted was to be Lord of Winterfell. He mentions it right above where he started reading, but he just takes it in stride. And I'm gonna do a lot of John defending as we get into these.
Graessle loves John.
In these next two books, John's story over Clash and Storm is probably my favorite thread. I love it. When we get into the Ygritte stuff, I'll be all into that.
Do you like Historian Feast?
Yeah, his story in Feast. It's a little slow.
He's not in
He's not in Feast.
What?
At all.
Half the characters.
Yeah, half the
Oh.
characters aren't
No
in it.
Tyrion, no
Can we just
Dany,
read
no
both
Jon.
books at once and go back and
Nope.
forth? Oh,
Um,
come on.
But So I'm
the sourcing
gonna
book.
be
It's okay.
all about
That'd be
John's
fun.
story here.
All right, I think that's good. We got plenty more to cover. Let's move on to Catelyn 1, our first check-in with Lady Tully in Clash of Kings. And in this chapter, what's she doing?
What's up? What we are constantly mono now, by the way. That sucks. We don't know what the problem is on
That does
that.
suck.
That's real weird, man.
We're gonna try to fix it later.
That could be a monster cable type thing. I don't know, man.
This cable hasn't been the best, but
All right. Well,
As long as you can hear us.
But now it's good again. I bet it was that.
it probably.
I bet
is.
we have a funky
okay.
cable.
All right, we'll try to get a new cable for next week, guys.
In
If you
this
want to help us get a cable, click the Patreon link below.
In this chapter, Catelyn watches as Robb gives his peace terms to Cleos Frey to deliver back to King's Landing. Then she talks to Robb about sending Theon back to the Iron Islands. And then she talks to the Blackfish about the Riverlands and how there's another Lannister host being gathered.
There's a lot of Lannisters.
Oh, just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
what
in
she
general.
call them? The damnably large and fertile house.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and that Lannister is also a Frey, and the same could be applied to them, more so.
Yeah, and especially, they're merged with a couple of marriages, I think.
I think that's an interesting parallel to draw, though.
Lannisters and
like
Freys.
yeah, like the Lannisters are this huge house, and they have this monolithic patriarch at the top. And the Freys are this huge house that have this monolithic patriarch at the top, but just the way that they conduct themselves is so different because of the attitudes of that singular person. You know,
And because of their station in the realm.
Sure, I mean, obviously, like, the Lannisters are one of the great houses, and the Freys are not, but beyond that, I think that given the Freys' aspirations, you can't help but compare them, and I think it's important to know the differences between those two men.
Yeah, they're not leaders, they're followers, and they attach themselves to leaders.
You talking about the phrase?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Can't respect that. It's not a stupid way to play the game, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets them by.
Yeah, why not?
Do you want to give us a summary?
I just did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was a really good one. I was actually proud of myself. And I
Can't go to
thought,
sleep on the summaries, Joel.
while I was saying it, I was thinking this is a great job. And then I
Yeah.
finished it and was like, stuck the landing. And
Really?
then I turned around and you didn't listen to any of that.
Yeah,
Apparently I
I didn't
didn't.
pay
Damn
attention
it,
either.
Joel.
Wow,
Oh,
thanks.
God. The edges. We should just cut this off. I should zoom in on the camera. It should just be James only.
No,
James
then I'd never
only
get a
button.
chance to talk.
No, I
Sorry,
true.
buddy.
like this chapter, though.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
What'd you like about it?
I don't know. I just like I like the arguments over whether or not Robb's terms are too harsh or too soft, and it's just I like all the infighting in Robb's camp. I think it's interesting. So I like all of that. I just like how poor Robb, you guys. What is
Just in
happening
general.
over
He's
there?
opening his.
I'm
Oh,
opening my Soylent.
I have Soylent too.
It's a good way to
Hey,
get calories
Soylent,
in.
sponsor our podcast.
Yeah. I just, Robb is so idealistic and thinking that Cersei would ever accept any of the, like, you know that letter's just gonna get to her and she'll just like rip, toss to the ground.
Yeah, and apparently Catelyn tried to make him do easier terms.
Yeah, and he wouldn't because he is like iron, kind of.
Ooh, kind of.
He offers so little. He offers almost nothing of value.
It's entirely take my terms.
But I don't think it's idealistic. I think that we're seeing that he is constrained by, for one thing, if he were only loyal to the Northmen, it would be easier if they could concede the Riverlands. But he's constrained by the geography and the loyalty of those lords who are supporting him. And it would also be easier if he could give over the Kingslayer, but he can't because his lords would be pissed at him. I think he's realizing that there's a line that even says it, like they kinged him, or they put a crown on his head, but they could take it away just as easily.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that it's the Riverlands that are really hamstringing him. I think that if he could just cut off at the neck and say everything north of the neck, which you'd never have any involvement with anyways. I mean, the Lannisters would never take that.
No.
But
it would be a much sweeter
I want
offer.
to jump ahead and talk about Renly.
Yeah.
But like, that's
Because the
too far
Riverlands
ahead.
are
But the
food.
Riverlands, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the problem. Is like if you, the Lannisters don't control the Reach, and without the Reach, you can't concede the Riverlands. You need one or the other or both to have a viable.
Like the Reach is the breadbasket, but the Riverlands have, I think. Food.
I mean, it's just as fertile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the North, are they not sustainable on their own?
The North is completely
They're
self-sustainable.
fine.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
But I think having a marriage with Kat makes it somewhat difficult, and then having that the war broke out there makes it very difficult.
And that he liberated the Riverland. I mean, or as much as he could. So there's loyalty there, and now he feels... Rob's flaw is that he's trying to live up to the image of the king in the North and please all of these bannermen, and it's a big problem for him, and it continues to become more and more of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we're already seeing that Edmure is fucking up already with the same tactic that got him captured by sending nobles home, dividing them, and it's going to be a problem.
I really like when Rob mentions that, they gave him his crown, they can take it away just as easily. Balon says the exact same thing a couple chapters from now, that he's going to give me a crown, but he can take it away just as easily. And it reminds me of Varys's riddle, like who really decides where power lies, like who is giving kings crowns and who has the authority to obey them or take them away.
Nice. I didn't make that connection between Balon's.
Yeah, they have more in common than they think.
I also really like... going back to the paragraph that you read, Chelsea, that from Mormont, that Jon will serve and Rob will be king. Rob's serving. He's serving his lords. He's not truly leading in the same way that Jon tries to later, where he's not an authoritative really ruler. Not in the way that Tywin is. Not in the way that Balon aspires to be. He's serving his Lord's bannerman.
And I think also another flaw with Rob, and by extension the Lords supporting him, is they seem pretty full of themselves after just 2 victories. Like at the end of 111, when he finishes talking to Cleos Frey, he's like, these are the terms. If she meets them, I'll give her peace. If not, I'll give her another Whispering Wood.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, forgive me for also delving into politics, but it's like Bernie Sanders' foreign policy thing. It's just all about that Iraq war vote.
Oh, the same thing.
It's like
over,
Rob only brings up Whispering Wood and the Battle of the Camps. Like that's all he keeps bringing up is over and over and over again.
He's resting on his own legend.
Exactly. Yeah. I even wrote resting on, and then I forgot if it's Laurels. Laurels. That's what I thought. Okay. I wrote Loritz. I don't think that's a thing.
Nope.
But I tried, and that's what I meant.
We're also seeing the conflict between Kat and Rob really widen, and that she no longer has the influence that she does. He's even trying to send her away.
Yeah, she recognizes that. He doesn't want me here. Kings are not supposed to have mothers. And it's really hard on her because she's dealing with her own shit. On 110, she has a whole paragraph blaming herself for Ned's death because she's the one who sent him to Winterfell or encouraged him to go to Winterfell. And just to note, I believe we brought it up way back when in Game of Thrones, but this is different in the show. In the show, Ned is the one who presses to go to King's Landing, and Catelyn tries to stop him, and I believe they changed it.
They changed it in the show.
Yeah, to make her more sympathetic, so that viewers weren't blaming her like she's blaming herself here for Ned's death.
I thought it was interesting how much more of her own inner monologue we get. Compared to a lot of other characters. Catelyn especially, and I don't remember if we get as much of it in game, but I feel like going forward in Clash and into Storm, we're going to get a lot more introspection from Catelyn. Like what I underlined the same paragraph about her blaming herself for Ned. I think she's going to feel more and more guilty and bring more and more on herself as things start to happen, and that's going to be a big driving force, I think, in the kind of mental unraveling of Catelyn Stark. It's something that I'm kind of curious about looking forward. We get everybody's thoughts, but we get these big kind of paragraphs in italics in Catelyn's chapters that I feel like we don't get from other characters, except for maybe Tyrion. And I just think that's an interesting kind of literary thing to look at.
A lot of arguments in the chat about what Catelyn should be doing.
Well, I had a question. I wanted to poll you guys. Is Rob wrong to send her away? Does she have value beyond being his mother?
She definitely has value beyond being his mother. I think the end of this chapter shows that, because she knows that the Lannisters are like that Tywin is going to hang out at Harrenhal until he's strong enough that they can't march on Harrenhal because that's exactly what he wants. It's easy to defend it. So she comes up with the idea to get.
But she has that conversation with the Blackfish. She doesn't have that conversation with Robb. Is her role as Robb's mother and her inability to separate those two things preventing her from being one of his most valuable counselors?
I think that we're seeing that she is incredibly influential and valuable, but not valued enough by him because of the position that he's in. We're seeing that she is not able to sway him from sending away Theon.
Yeah.
And I think that proves that, I mean, she can't abandon him because it will probably not go well if she leaves and goes to the north, but she can't also just leave him at the same time. But she's not able to do what she needs to do.
But that might be partially on her, and smarter people than I have pointed this out. But Ned's last thing he said to Catelyn, or one of them, was to make sure that Robb keeps Theon close. So when she's telling Robb, don't send Theon, why didn't she invoke Ned? Why didn't she say your father
That's a good
said
question.
It's it was the last thing he told me when I talked to him to keep Theon close, and I think that might have convinced Robb. Obviously, has a lot of respect for Ned.
I think Ned even says, I don't know if we have a Game of Thrones, well, it would take too long to look it up, but I think he even says, if it comes to war, we'll have need of Balon Greyjoy's longships.
Yes.
Which is exactly what Robb says here, but his tactics for going about getting it are completely wrong.
So I do respect Catelyn a lot. I think she has a lot of value as an advisor, but I do think this is one place where she fucks up.
You think she's not forceful enough?
She's not forceful enough, and she doesn't say this is coming from Ned.
Yeah.
It should be enough that's coming from her.
It should be, but she knows that it's not going to be.
I wonder if maybe part of it is it's like a misguided attempt to keep him from feeling like he's a child and not a king.
Oh,
like
your
both
father.
Like
your
me
parents.
and your father talked about this.
We
Yeah.
don't like that Theon Greyjoy.
Yeah. I wonder if it's as simple as that, you know?
Might be. Yeah.
And she's pulled in so many directions. Like, she's still waking up and believing for a second that Ned could be there.
Yeah. That's rough.
Hey, we get a mention of Beric Dondarrion.
Yeah, for sure we
kicking
do.
ass, and also another mention of him being killed, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, every time we hear about him, we hear about him being killed a different way.
It's said
Sir
that.
Burton Crinkle was boasting that he'd slain Dondarrion until he led his column into one of Lord Beric's traps.
Yeah, and it's funny because who says it? I think maybe the Blackfish is the one who says that, yeah, Beric's doing all right. The rest of them are not doing too well. Like the River Lords who went to go defend their lands, they're floundering. But nope, Beric Dondarrion's still doing great. Can't wait to get to Beric. Love that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Long time.
in that passage, though, we learn that the Dairies went back to their lord's keep, but then Gregor Clegane descended on them, put the whole garrison to the sword. Even their lord. If you remember, the original Dairy, Raymond, he was killed he was fighting alongside Beric and Thoros. He was with the people that Ned sent out from King's Landing. So Raymond Dairy got killed at the Mummer's Ford, and his heir was this kid, a little kid who was there when Robb was crowned king in the North. And they were like, oh, hey, he'll never have to bow to a Lannister. He'll only know King of the North. Now that kid is dead and the Dairies are extinct. So that's a bummer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just this is a small minor character who has been there. He was there at the King of the North crowning, and now he's dead.
Oh, man, and then he went home and just got murdered.
Yep. That was the fate of young
sucks.
little Lord
There's
Dairy.
a lot of young lords and stuff who are just horribly taken advantage of or brutally killed because of their name and their holdings.
Yeah. Also, we get just a reminder that Gregor's not the only dog that Tywin has loosed. Sir Amory Lorch is in the field, and some sellsword out of Qohor. Our boy, what's his name?
Vargo Hoat.
Who's disgusting.
Vargo Hoat, who is not in the show.
No.
His
'Cause
counterpart is Locke
Yeah.
in the
but
show.
Vargo Hoat would be too ridiculous in the show. He talks with a lisp.
He would.
and-
He's in my head. He sounds like Ticker,
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right.
and yeah, he wouldn't work in the.
But I believe that they're talking about these guys, or at least others, hitting up the lands around the God's Eye, which is important to know because
That's where Arya is.
Arya is.
And we get this right after. Oh, we do get them talking about strategy and the comet. Edmure
course.
thinks it's an omen of victory for Riverrun. He sees a fish with a long tail in the Tully colors, red against blue, and the Blackfish just says, no, this is the color of blood.
Yeah, the Blackfish spewing the only good wisdom about this comic. The only one that's not it's an omen of our victory. Blackfish is just like, no.
No, it's blood. Whose blood? Was there ever a war where only one side bled? Awesome line.
What is George's
being
point
awesome.
with this comet?
I think he just wanted
Do you think his point is it's just a comet?
I think it's part of. I think it's a device that helps introduce the religious conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every religion has a different interpretation of what this comet means, and they're all trying to use it to their own end, and they're all fighting against each other. And I think his point is that it's part of the riddle too. It's like power resides where men believe it resides. So there's just this completely arbitrary symbol that has no real purpose. It doesn't come back later in the series. It's a total red herring. And I think, so it is a red fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's its point.
Yeah.
You better have a bad joke lined up because that one's gonna take the cake.
Oh, don't worry. I think there'll be one. I think it's also a Rorschach test for the ways in which different characters of similar, I guess, levels in society, and then the common folk, how they see themselves benefiting from it, or what they think it is. Joffrey seems to think it's for him. The small folk seem to think it's for something else.
And I think just as a literary device, it helps as a thing that can reorient us to each point of view, each place on this planet, each character. When we start with them and what they're doing, we can check in with them and be like, oh, hey, here's a comment, here's what we need, what we think it means, back to our story. Just like a linking device, I guess.
Yeah.
But mostly I think it's, it's this meaningless thing that people create meaning out of.
It reminds me a little bit of An American Tale, because everyone's so separated, but they're all seeing the same comic.
Oh my gosh.
Somewhere out there.
But I wonder what, canonically, it actually is.
I think it's just a comet.
That's what I'm saying. For George, is it just a fucking comet?
I think so.
I feel like it's a comet for everyone, but for Daenerys, I feel like it is for the dragons.
For dragons?
Oh yeah, I think it might be.
Or did you forget about her?
See, that's what I'm wondering. It's like,
if it's anything, it's got to be bad, which we'll talk about next week.
Yeah.
Karstark. Rickard Karstark.
We see some rumblings.
He's pissed.
Yeah, just real quick check-in with him, getting mad, leaving. Once Rob mentions suing for peace, he doesn't want peace. Yeah, fuck Karstarks.
He's not a happy man.
I also like how Rob treats his crown. He gives it to his squire and says, "Get this thing out." What's he say? He refers to it as this thing.
Yeah. Take this thing to my bedchamber.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's just this thing that he doesn't want to wear.
Yeah.
Oh, you're getting anxious there.
Yeah, but I want to talk about Hoster real quick.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the last time we saw him in game, he was in pain but somewhat lucid in talking to Kat, and now, just on 117, there's less and less sense of the things he says. He talks of his regrets, of unfinished tasks, of people long dead and times long past. Sometimes he does not know what season it is or who I am. Once he called me by my mother's name. So he's not doing well.
I do like that Hoster and Brynden were able to reconcile. I think that's a nice little subplot moment, and I think that's I don't know. I think it really. I'm glad that they resolved that conflict, and that's not something that lingers over Hoster Tully, because Hoster is going to serve a kind of different purpose in a different storyline soon, and yeah.
Sure.
Things, some of those things he says.
yeah.
And
well, you already mentioned, was it
Tansy?
Tansy, yeah. But I'm glad that the Blackfish has that's not hanging over the Blackfish. You know.
I would just like to say that dementia as a thing is one of the most depressing things to me.
Yeah, it is.
And so Hoster Tully is.
But is it dementia, or is he
dying?
just delirious from pain?
Because he is fairly clear-headed until the end.
Yeah, but now he's all drugged up.
Oh.
And
either way, it's sad when you can't recognize your own daughter.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they're definitely all waiting, and Blackfish says, each time I ride out, I wonder if I shall find him alive or dead on my return. So.
Are they?
His niece.
Do we know the
Oh, hang
age
on, hang on.
difference?
His niece is Cat, but it's almost like his brother is Schrodinger's Hoster.
Okay, you got a worse joke in.
Wow.
There it is.
Silence.
All right.
Just a beat.
It's a thinker, that one.
We were talking about King Heron and Harrenhal, just real fast. So you might have wondered why they're called the Seven Kingdoms, but if you count, it seems like there's more than seven, because what do we got? We got the North, the Reach, Dorne, Stormlands, Westerlands, Iron Islands, Riverlands, and the Eyrie. Did I miss any? The Vale, I always confuse that. So that's 8. What's up with that? The Riverlands weren't one of the 7 kingdoms when Aegon arrived. They were actually ruled by the Ironborn. So that was the 7th kingdom. The Iron Islands and Riverlands were as one. Heron the Black was an Ironborn. He was he was a Ironborn, and so Harrenhal.
Hor, right? Was the family name H-O-R-E?
H-O-A-R-E. Yeah, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yes, Harren Hor was made Harrenhal, and then when they got killed by Aegon and his dragons, they were just retreated back to the Iron Islands, and the Riverlands kind of became their own thing.
Yeah, that was when.
The Tullys?
Yeah, Aegon the Conqueror granted Riverlands to the Tullys because they flipped to royalists like right away.
Yeah, and before that, the Riverlands never really had a chance to be their own kingdom because they were just always getting warred
Yeah,
over.
there was a bunch of different River Kings.
Yeah.
You think my joke was worse than Joel's? That is not true.
Katie's
mine was
just
legitimately
snarky.
motivated by a literary analysis, and Joel just went to Schrodinger's cat.
Oh, tired old Schrodinger's cat. Last little fact to point out is that there's a new Lannister host gathering at Casterly Rock under Stefford Lannister, but most of the hosts that he's gathering are pretty green, sellswords, free riders, so they're not ready to march just yet.
I love that the Blackfish has like a scouting report on all of their enemies. He's like, Sir Stafford, not great. The son, Devon, yeah. He's like a 4-star.
Cool. Anything else to say about Catelyn? Chels?
Nope.
Joel?
I'm good.
Nope.
Tyrion.
Oh,
This was my
this
favorite
chapter.
chapter.
Yes, it was also my favorite chapter of
Yeah,
our
for
reading.
sure.
Although Davos and Theon came close.
This one was just enjoyable, though.
Yeah, those were fun for the new perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like just fun to read, Tyrion takes the cake.
I love that it's a contained chapter. It's limited to one room and essentially proceeds in real time.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like a
That's
bottle
really
chapter.
Yeah, it's almost like a play, too, because most of it's dialogue.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's him having dinner with Janos, and such a good two-person scene. Just the shifts in dynamic of power and revelations and such. And then Janos gets pissed, tries to leave, but Jacelyn Bywater, the new Lord Commander of the Gold Cloaks, escorts him off to the wall. And then Varys flutters in, and Tyrion and Varys talk in a passage that's just as enjoyable as they go over what Tyrion should be doing with all these different reports. It was so fun. Both those sections of this chapter were excellent.
Can you give us a summary?
that's a good joke, Joel.
All right.
Jacelyn?
I don't know.
I read it as
It's-
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
Oh, it's Jacqueline?
I guess so.
Sorry, I see a C and an E. I assume it's
It's tough sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
I went either way.
Okay.
But Jacqueline, yeah.
All right, Jacqueline.
I don't actually remember what Roy did in his
I
audiobook.
read it as Jacqueline.
I don't know.
It doesn't really matter.
Janos Slint, guys.
I
Oh,
fucking hate Janice.
I love
Yeah.
Janos Lint was a butcher's son, and he laughed like a man chopping meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some wonderful descriptions of him. Oh, and the cheese, the sharp cheese, the sharp knife.
Yeah, he'll be a happy man.
Yeah.
I love that Tyrion calls out the red enamel blood as a shade much, if you don't mind my saying. Yeah. A bloody spear, like a spear would be fine enough.
Yeah.
Jackass.
And then he also insults the work too. He's like,
Oh.
the Smiths of Castle Rock would have done a better job. This is poor work, or whatever he says. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's such a contrast to someone like Davos, where like they're these new lords, but Janos Slint's like pretending that he's old money, for lack of a better term,
Yeah,
where Davos
for
is
sure.
super aware that he's not the real deal, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he is, but he isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Davos's sons are trying to be
Davos
like
is
Janis.
Davos is like, maybe my grandsons will like be kind of on the same level, and
Yeah.
like my great grandsons
But
will maybe be.
fucking Janis is like, it has this like beautiful cloak, and yeah,
the
he's
small
the
council.
nouveau riche. Like, he has like the McMansion equivalent of like a like a clasp, you know, where it's like it's like fancy, but you look at it, it's not made with great
Yeah.
materials. Yeah.
Wait a second, this is from IKEA.
Like Janos, if any character lived in the McMansion, it'd be Janos, because
Yeah.
he'd be like, "This is really, really nice. It's exquisite. It's
Yeah.
very luxurious."
And evicted so soon.
yeah,
Yes.
right? Like, he can't afford the property taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a deeper credit check and were like,
Yeah.
And Tyrion does make that point too. He's just telling things that Janis wouldn't know about. Yeah, Harrenhal. It's pretty big. It's a lot to maintain. Very
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, Harrenhal's a McMansion. It really is though. Like, it's such a McMansion.
yeah.
haunted
It was
McMansion.
finished
Yeah.
building on the day of the stock market crash.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah,
Just sat empty, yeah,
Yep.
right?
Aegon arrives, stocks tumble.
I will point out that the show, this scene is great, and the show actually improves upon it with one amazing line. It's at the bottom of 126. Slam down his wine cup. Are you drunk? If you think I will sit here and have my honored question. And in the show, Tyrion responds with, I'm not questioning your honor.
I'm denying its existence.
That's true.
Yes.
Excellent show line. Props to the writers, which
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
assuming were D&D.
That's a good rewrite.
It's a good rewrite.
Yeah.
It's a great way of condensing the point of this conversation.
Yeah, which is always a necessary thing to do
Yeah.
in adapting a text to a screenplay.
We don't have Jacqueline Bracewater in the show.
No, he's not there.
He's replaced
Bronn.
by Bronn as the commander of the city's watch.
Oh, yeah.
I like Bracewater as a character.
Yeah, a guy with
Bracewater? I thought it was Blywater.
It's Bywater.
Bywater?
Bywater.
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah,
yeah.
he's
By
missing a
water.
hand. He has an iron hand. I like that little aspect. And I really love the line that Tyrion tells, I think it's at the very end, Varys would have me believe that I replaced one of Joffrey's men with one of my own. More likely, I've replaced Littlefinger's man with one belonging to Varys. But so be it. So, like that he's aware that the deeper game is being played by those two guys.
I like how much we're dissecting that aspect of the politics at King's Landing. I think that when we had Ned as hand, it was so focused on a singular issue that Ned wasn't seeing the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all Tyrion is doing is stepping back and looking at the forest.
Yes.
Like you know, to Ned, King's Landing was a still life, but to Tyrion, it's a Monet. It's impressionist.
Yeah.
You know,
Nice.
like he's got to back away from it, and he's trying to see the whole picture. And I
Look at
really
that.
like that storyline throughout the books. We were talking off camera before we started about like next we're gonna get Tyrion and Littlefinger. We're gonna get Tyrion and Pycelle. We're gonna get these great exchanges coming up as Tyrion tries to see the big picture, and it's a delight. It's just some of the best chapters in the series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is when I love King's Landing because it's just dissecting all of these little maneuvers and trying to figure out like what people's intentions are. And it's great to see how different characters choose to dissect that. Where Tyrion's usually pretty on the mark, then we get to someone like Cersei who is similarly trying to dissect little things and little nuances and gestures that might not even mean anything, but she just kind of goes off the deep end.
I like Eric Mishima's point and Gunnar Lopez agreeing that, yeah, Tyrion is, Alexandra Salamanda agreeing that, yeah, Tyrion's not going to punish the family. He's not going to punish Janos Slynt's family, who had no part with Janos Slynt's, idiocy. So, his son is still going to be Lord
Slynt, yeah.
Lord Slynt. He won't have Harrenhal, but he'll have some land, and
Yeah.
his other sons will, they'll be squires and maybe knights. But yeah, that Tyrion's mostly fair. He's not perfect, but
Yeah.
he's much more fair than Joffrey.
Yeah, and I think he's acknowledging by saying that he feels bad that he's just sent Allard Deem to be killed, and that well, also with Varys, you might be killed too, but I'd feel bad about it, that he will feel some sympathy, but still do what he has to do.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, what's his face? Alardeem?
Yeah, Alardeem.
I couldn't
Alardeem.
figure out why in my head I was reading it like Alardeem. I was like, why am I reading it like that? And then I realized I was reading it like fucking John Travolta. Adele Dazeem.
Alardeem.
Yeah.
Speaking of Alardeem, in the show we see this slaughtering of the bastards and the killing of that baby firsthand, but obviously
It's
in
a
the
rough
books,
sequence.
it is, yeah, it's very intense, but in the books we don't have any point of view characters to see that stuff firsthand, so this is us learning about it. Also, we are led to believe in this chapter, and spoiler alert, it's true. Tyrion says, "It was my sister." That was what the oh-so-loyal Lord Janos refused to say. Cersei sent the gold cloaks to that brothel.
Yes.
This is a fact. This is, I think, as far as that goes, there's no deeper mystery to that in the books. Whereas in the show, when Tyrion's talking to Cersei about it, he kind of teases out from her that it was Joffrey who did this.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Well, it's one of the many things that show Cersei is made more sympathetic than book Cersei.
I think at this point also, in the show, had Stannis made his announcement already? Had it spread through the realm that Joffrey was allegedly not a trueborn Baratheon?
So this was Joffrey reacting to that?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
changes
remember
the
well enough.
intent. Because I feel like when Joffrey does it, it's more of a paranoia, or it's more of like a need to just eliminate that kind of competition, even if they're not competition. Like a baseborn girl is not going to be any threat to Joffrey. But with Cersei, I think her intent is to eliminate any physical comparison to her kids.
Yeah.
It's not that they're competition, because they're not going to usurp her kids, but it's just they look so different.
And Stannis mentions that.
Yes.
Because he says, put this, I think he's talking about Edric Storm, put him next to...
Javier points out that we see Joffrey send to kill the bastards in the show, and in the show, Cersei denies sending Mandon Moore to kill Tyrion.
Is that true?
yeah.
I could have sworn that
I don't
Tyrion
No,
is talking to Cersei.
I literally don't
I
remember.
don't remember.
And
Javier's got a pretty good batting average.
he does, yeah. All right.
So, just wanted to convey that to the rest of
So
the...
wait, Javier, are you saying that in the show, Joffrey sent Mandon Moore to kill Tyrion?
No, that's
No,
what
no, no.
Cersei says.
Cersei sends Mandon Moore.
For sure.
In the
But she
show?
denies
He's
it.
saying in the show we see Joffrey sending.
We see him give the order to go kill the bastards.
Okay.
I don't know if
I don't
that's
remember that. I
true,
remember the
though.
event happening and then Tyrion trying to
I do
determine
not
what happened.
remember.
He's doubling down on it.
Okay.
All right.
I don't remember.
We also have, in terms of Tyrion chasing down ends to things, with Varys discussing that, yes, King Joffrey gave the command, Janos Slynt and Sir Ilyn Payne carried it out in terms of Ned, and then Tyrion says, almost as if they had expected it, yes, we've been over this ground before, without profit, a folly. So he's not exactly picking up on the hints that Varys wants him to and seeing Littlefinger's influence possibly.
And Varys gives more hints on the next page, 132. It's he's saying, who truly killed Eddard Stark, do you think? Joffrey, who gave the command, Sir Ilyn Payne, who swung the sword, or another? And Tyrion is kind of fed up at this point, so he doesn't really press it, but Varys keeps prodding at it. Power resides where men believe it resides, no more, no less. A shadow on the wall, yet shadows can kill, and oftentimes a very small man can cast a very large shadow.
Yeah, and I think Tyrion thinks he's talking about Tyrion.
I did for a long time
Exactly.
too.
Wait. Explain that again. Sorry.
Oftentimes a very small man can cast a very large shadow. And I think at first the audience and Tyrion in the show and the book takes that to mean himself, because he smiles. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm growing strangely fond of you. Like thinking that Varys is talking about him.
He's very vain about anyone in complimenting his intelligence.
Yeah, but who else is a very small man? Littlefinger. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think this is Varys implying that because he was just talking about who truly killed Eddard Stark, do you think? It was probably Littlefinger who suggested
Okay.
it to Joffrey.
So this is interesting, though, because I agree with you that Varys is trying to say it without saying it to Tyrion. If Varys, truly believes that Tyrion is clever enough to piece that out, what does Varys have to gain from tipping that hand so quickly? And if he does want Tyrion to figure it out, why not? Is he just trying to plant the seeds, knowing like, oh, this'll take a little while? He wants Tyrion to kind of suspect Littlefinger, or is he incepting Tyrion?
You're asking why doesn't he just tell him?
Why doesn't he just tell him?
Because Tyrion already is suspicious, and I hope we're going to follow up on it, of Littlefinger for the cat's paw dagger.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree. Why isn't he being more direct or pushing him in that direction?
I think it's he's playing the long game.
Why do it at all, though?
But he knows this is going back to his conversation with Illyrio in the dungeons. Like, he knows that Daenerys has hit a setback, and he can't have, he's trying to set the stage for that. So I think he's trying to play the long game and
maybe
create
plant
more
the
chaos.
seed, and then once he knows that Daenerys is ready to go, be like, hey, Tyrion, remember when I said little man, big shadow, wasn't you, it was Littlefinger, yo. That's what he would say.
Yeah. That's exactly what he would say.
And then after that, we have, 2 pages of Varys reporting and Tyrion deciding what to do. I love it.
I like that Varys would never have brought this to Ned. Varys trusts Tyrion enough, but I think he's also looking at Tyrion to see what Tyrion will do with that information.
Yeah, it's kind of a quiz.
Sure.
This is him quizzing
yeah.
Tyrion to see what kind of ruler he would be.
Cool. Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah, and we get mention of Clarence. Sir Balin Swan,
Oh, yeah.
who was heard to remark that we'll need 3 cups for that.
Not a bad joke.
Toasting to the
Japes.
king.
Yeah, Japes.
Japes and jokes happening.
And then Tyrion says, well, it's just a joke. We don't need to punish
free
that.
speech. Guys, come on.
Yeah, the First Amendment of Westeros.
Yeah.
Also, Tyrion knows that, like, Joffrey has no real claim.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I think part of him is like, well, they're not wrong.
But yeah,
Yeah.
sucks for that master of the King's Galley Whiteheart who was going to what was he gonna do? Oh, he was gonna slip out and join Lord Stannis, and Tyrion's like, yeah, just put him before Joffrey. Go distract Joffrey and deal with this treasoner. It's like, that guy's fucked.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean,
he was
That
gonna-
makes sense.
Yeah.
It just sucks that it's Joffrey, and not
Yeah.
just like just have him killed. Like it's like, oh,
no,
he's
he's gonna like
something
rip
terrible.
his fingernails
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, or like
something
keel haul him.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Horror and slobber were trying to leave the
They
city.
just want to go home.
Yeah.
Those poor guys. At least nothing happens. Like, Tyrion doesn't have anything happen to them.
Yeah.
He just sends the guard that they bribed to the wall and like checks out to make sure they don't.
And he's
get
doing
lost.
good things for the wall. Let's just point that out. He's being a good guy to the Nice Watch.
Yeah, but he's being a good. Thinking of Mormont, he's being a good guy. But once we're gonna see a little bit later when he's confronted with Alistair Thorne, who he did not get along with, his loyalty to the wall disappears.
Oh.
He won't let he's gonna let a personal grievance get in the way.
Darn.
It happens in the show too.
Well, I don't like Alistair, so I'm okay with that.
Anything else? Tyrion's amassing kind of a nice little force if he has the City Watch now, and 150 fierce clansmen and a growing force of sellswords recruited by Bronn.
I really like the last little exchange with Bronn, which we get in the show as well,
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I like that too.
where Tyrion asks, "Tell me, Bronn, if I told you to kill a babe, an infant girl, say, still at her mother's breast, would you do it without question? Without question? No. I'd ask how much."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's a really great summation of Bronn's character. In addition to the I ask them questions, I give him a chance to kill me. Like, I love that. Bronn's such an interesting, fun character.
Yeah.
What y'all say?
I think it's interesting too that after that answer, he says most of all he wanted Shay, and Shay's also someone who's being paid to do something. There's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because
really
even earlier in
depressing.
that chapter he says, oh man, where
She's
is
been
it?
set up with a small house with servants, but she really wants to be with Tyrion. And Tyrion is fighting against the urge to honestly want to be with her, but he just can't get over the idea that he could actually trust her.
Yeah, because he says, can a whore truly love anyone, I wonder? No, don't answer. Some things I'd rather not know.
Yeah. Which is informed by the Tisha narrative.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
The who?
Taisha.
Oh,
Taisha.
Taisha.
Taisha. Okay, Arya 3.
Yeah.
What a lame chapter.
Do we have anything to really say about this?
Yeah, I've got some stuff to say.
You've got some stuff?
This is the first time, because it wasn't as much in the show, this kind of depiction, like we're seeing some real Riverlands devastation.
I guess
Some
Arya
wartime
3 is
shit.
easily my least favorite chapter of this group of readings from today.
Well, it's definitely not a happy time.
No.
Well, it's just
the Riverlands are not happy.
there's not much momentum here.
But that's,
Like,
it's just another chapter of, like, look at how fucked the Riverlands is.
Yeah.
They don't go anywhere.
They don't go anywhere.
But this is my first one of those. We've heard reports of lords
No,
and
we got it
parties
in the last
dying.
Arya chapter. People were dead. The innkeep was.
We saw graves, but things are burning.
I guess things are getting worse.
Yeah.
It's just a slow pace for me.
Yeah.
For her going up this King's Landing. As slow as, like, at the top of 137, geez, they were coming down this narrow road and come face to face with 3 men pulling a load of firewood in an ox cart. There was no way for them to get around. They had to wait for, like, the cart to turn around and then, like, follow the cart, which was slow. And then those guys on the cart, they would have had to go, like, as far as they had to and then turn around and come back. Like, that is misery to me.
Yeah.
I wrote ugh. Oh, that sucks.
I loved it. I love that he's paying so much attention to just the logistics of, like, refugees and that they need to, like, it's getting more sparse as they go along, so they need to, like, go out and find food, and Arya's hunting a rabbit, the other kids are searching for berries.
Oh, I would like to point out Eric Mishima, just back on Tyrion real fast. I'm a bad person. I usually try hard to forget Bronn said that. I don't think you can. I think it's very important to remember that Bronn is this type of guy.
Yeah.
And it's harder to remember the show with Jerome Flynn.
Yeah, you get like, you really like him.
Yeah, he's really charismatic. He has a bigger role in the show than he does in the books, and he has more humor, I think, although he has plenty in the books. But yeah, like, that's the best thing about these books is that characters aren't black and white, and Bronn has a lot of dark gray to him, as evidenced by that exchange with Tyrion.
And then it puts us in the same kind of position that Tyrion's in, because we start to really like this character, and it's easy to start thinking of him as a friend, and then you realize, like, no, he could easily be paid to do something awful. Like, he's not really our friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good call.
I also think it's important to note that he's a certain type of person in this world that, you know, we're going to see more and more of as the story progresses. These kind of low-born cutthroats. And, you know, everybody isn't Jon or Robb or Arya. Like, people are just trying to get by, and sometimes that means killing people for money.
Yep.
You know, Salor San is a good example of that. He's a pirate prince, you know, and he's just in it for the money. And Cersei, which is worse in a way.
Also, in the show, it's played up a lot more than it is in the. We'll get to
it's
it.
Pretty, it's gross in the show.
Yeah,
I hate it
it's
in the
like
show.
2 small mentions in the book, but okay.
Okay, well,
I had a segue. You want to hear my segue?
Sure, yeah, what's up?
Well, you were mentioning people look. It's not a horrible joke. Don't worry. Just in terms of people looking out for themselves and their self-interest, we get in this chapter the people who are the farmers who are raising the ears of corn. Just different signs of people really turning in on themselves, and a lot of fear and suspicion in the Riverlands. Except there's sort of the counterexample in Yoren, because he stops at the village and looks for survivors, which I thought was a critical point in this chapter.
I think if nothing else, this chapter shows Yoren breaking down.
I was going to say that the only part of this chapter that I really... Well, there's the thing with the wolf, which is neat. But the only part of this chapter that I really like, that really stood out to me... I'm already into Davos because this chapter's so short.
It's very short.
The end paragraph with Yoren, where he's kind of just staring off, chewing his sour leaf, and he says, been bringing men to the wall for close on 30 years. Froth shone from Yoren's lips like bubbles of blood. All that time, I only lost 3. Old man died of a fever. City boy got snake bit taking a shit. One fool tried to kill me in my sleep and got a red smile for his trouble. He drew his dirk across his throat to show her. 3 in 30 years, he spat out the old sour leaf. A ship now. Might have been wiser. No chance of finding more men that way, but still. Clever man, he'd go by ship. But me, 30 years I've been taking this King's Road. And I love the way that he says, this King's Road. Like, it was important to him and and who he is to take the road, even though he probably thought about taking a ship. But I don't know. I just love that kind of reverie and the regret, and it's like he knows they're not going to make it at this point. I feel like Yoren almost gives up when giving this speech.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean he's just been dealing with. I mean, the Night's Watch has been in bad shape for a while, probably much of those 30 years, more than less. But I mean, at this point, you got field hands demanding coin for the food, and he says time was a man in black was feasted from Dorne to Winterfell. And instead now he has to pay for some corn. And it says a cloud seemed to hang over him. He's, as Gunnar Lopez says, he's getting too old for this shit.
Gunnar Loper.
He's never seen the
Loper.
King's Road
Sorry,
look
Gunnar.
like this before.
Right.
Like,
especially now.
I forget in whose other chapter it was mentioned, but the King Road, it was like used to be that like a maiden could take the King's Road at night and be safe or something, like alone at night.
Well, I think you even think back to like within that 30 years, the only major conflict has been Robert's Rebellion. But what we know of Robert's Rebellion, it was almost a fast war. Like there were these several major conflict points: the Battle of the Bells, the Battle of the Trident, the Sack of King's Landing, and the Siege of Storm's End, and Tower of Joy, sure. But other than that, we don't have this like prolonged period of just like burning, pillaging, and, like awful terror, as the Blackfish put it. So, it's unprecedented. This type of experience for everybody is unprecedented.
It's really changing the entire realm, and we're seeing. Well, I think Yoren's experience shows that it's the small things have been kind of cracking for a long time, and the War of the Five Kings is really just laying them all bare and just exploding the whole thing.
Yeah,
For sure.
Absolutely.
I like that in this chapter we see that, based on your point last week of Arya understanding that there's loyalty among just people who need each other, commoners, that she's understanding this time, even though she wants to be a lone wolf, that there's like value in the protection of strength in numbers.
Yeah, she likes to go off by herself, it says, but she catches this rabbit and, she brings it back and everyone gets a little piece. She gets a whole leg and she shares it with Gendry. Just a nice little checking up there.
Arya and Gendry forever.
Yeah.
One more supporting piece of evidence to the Yorn is so over this shit is when like they're passing the guy who's in the tree with the bow, who's really just taking cautious measures to protect himself and his people, and Yoren's just like him in his tree. Let's see how well he likes it up there when the others come to take him. He'll scream for the Watch then, that he will. Like Yoren's so upset that the Watch gets no respect now.
Yeah.
And he knows. Like, he knows that that's a real threat.
Oh, the others? Yeah. This isn't just like others come and take him. It's like, no, the others are going to come and take you.
There's a group of these old brothers who are fully aware of what's going on, but nobody believes them.
Yeah. Spotted tree cat, yellow and black on a mud-brown field. Bomb of 139. This was when Koss comes back to let them know that there's 20 or 30 men up in a camp. I looked it up. House Maya, very, very small house. It only gets mentioned once more in this entire series, but they are from the Westerlands, and so would be loyal to the Lannisters.
Made the right call.
Good
Made
call.
the right call. I was always curious about that, if like that was a missed opportunity for assistance, or if it was the right call. So I finally looked it up today, and Maya.
I like the point that Yoren has. If they were on their side, though, or if they would have been kind to, even then, if they're desperate and if they're wounded, then it's just not worth it.
Might be one side, might be the other. If they're hurt that bad, likely they take our mounts no matter who they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that, for me, being introduced to Hot Pie in a terrifying way when he was just trying to kill Arya before, that now Hot Pie retracts his statement, and he's just a little scared little kid. I never kicked anybody to death.
Never said that.
Yeah, besides that, there's just a lot of burnt bodies and butchered animals.
Yeah, just the imagery,
It's just
the fire at night, the woman crying, please,
with
please.
the amputated arm, the little kid, like the kid who can't talk,
The
just
kid
cries.
sticks around
Kid sticks
for a
around.
while.
Kid hangs around for a while. Yeah, just
Yeah.
crying. And then there's this little incident with the wolves that isn't in the show and that I'd forgotten entirely about.
Yeah.
Arya goes to make water and comes to face with a pack of wolves, and then they run away. Is this Nymeria's gang?
I think it's a splinter cell.
Because
Because when we get word of Nymeria, it's a huge pack, and this is what, like 12 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And I feel like this might be like a scouting team for Nymeria, because I don't think that Nymeria and Arya could come this close and not interact.
Sure, or not sense each other.
Yeah,
you know?
I think this is a part of the. I think Nymeria is part of the reason those wolves don't do anything to her. So we're meant to kind of feel that presence that way. But yeah, exactly. Javier points out wolves don't run away; they practically bow to her. So these wolves know who Arya is and know who Nymeria is. But I don't think Nymeria is in close proximity.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think they're scouting.
Yeah, but they are closer than they were because they're by the God's Eye now,
Right.
and that's where the reports were coming from.
Yep.
The wolves are actually playing their own Game of Thrones.
Travis Hulky says he hates the saying
water.
"make water." I love that saying.
That's weird.
I think it's a good compromise. Like, you can't just keep saying like piss. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I like make water. Anything else from this Arya chapter?
No.
Anything? We got
Move the fuck on.
two chapters left, and two of my favorite chapters of this book so far, honestly.
And they're good.
Starting with Davos 1, they're both very long compared to that very short Arya chapter, but they need to be because we're getting a whole bunch of new information here. So Davos 1, our first check-in with Davos's perspective. Oh no, I didn't write a quick little summary. Let's see if I can do
They
it.
you go ahead.
There's the burning of the gods of the seven. I don't know if they're on the beach like they are on the show.
I imagined it on the
I
beach, but
imagined
it
it on
sounds
the
like
beach.
they're
They're burning the Sept,
yeah.
Well, they destroyed
right?
the Sept.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they like drag everything outside? And
think so.
burn
Yeah,
it?
dragged it out and burned it, and then after that little show, he goes and talks to Salvador San, and they discuss.
They're outside because it does say like behind them the heat shown on the castle walls.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, he talks to Salvador San, who I forgot is the one who gives us the history of Lightbringer, the forging of Lightbringer. I've heard
forgot
that
that
story
too, yeah.
so many times, never really realized that it was Salvador San who did it. And then finally,
Stannis and Lightbringer is like the saddest imagery of
I-
all time.
I
It's so fucking cute.
Oh my god,
love
it's the best.
when
He's
he
just
throws
so
down the
awkward.
glove and puts out the
Yeah.
fire on his, like, picturing that while Melisandre's talking. Like, I pictured her like trying to step in front of him.
Yeah, and everyone's like politely clapping.
Yeah.
There's nothing epic about it.
it's very funny to contrast her speech and the words that she's using with what's actually being described to us, with like his cape kind of catching on fire, and yeah, just like throwing the sword in the ground, and other guys running up and guards rushing to beat out the cinders, like other guys running up, oh, my lord, my lord.
Yeah.
Like, right away when Davos' son like puts the padded glove, I just picturing an oven mitt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like Azor Ahai, I don't think needs the what was it? Was it Tubby's that had the oven mitt?
Who?
Or Arby's?
yeah.
Oh.
Hamburger helper.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a hamburger helper oven mitt to pull out Lightbringer. I think that's a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's when we realized like it's the same charm or spell or whatever that Thoros was using at the tourney.
Yeah.
Well,
Well-
is it? Because
It
this
would-
the
or
sword
ish.
sounds pretty dinged up by the end of the ritual, and Thoros continues to use his sword.
And
But
didn't they mention green flame? For
Yeah, I
Thoros?
think Thoros dips his
Oh.
in wildfire.
oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
That's exciting.
But still, it's an illusion, not real.
So another difference between the show and the book is the number of sons that Davos has. In the show, he only has the one really pious son. I think it's Devon. Whereas here in the books, he has 7. Granted, 2 of them are little babies, but still 5 full-grown sons. 2 of them, Allard and Dale, who are pretty close to Davos, it seems, although they do kind of resent the low-born background. They only see the black ship and ignore the onion on their sigil. But yeah, he's got a few others, and one of them, I think it's Devon, right, who's really into the new religion.
Yeah, that's the
Overlord.
one that's on the show.
Yeah, that's the one
He's
who
like
was on the
real
show.
into
But
Relore.
isn't Mathos like on the show?
His name,
His
I
name?
think, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think book Devon is show Mathis.
Yeah.
And then Allard, though, he's the one who's into the 7.
No.
Wait, no?
No, Allard and Dale are just more into being.
They just want to be captains of their ship.
Yeah, they want to be
They're
captains,
like,
which
our,
they are.
Our pine is not good enough pine. We need to get better pine from our barrels.
They're more in the line of John O'Slint, just less douchey about it, but they're acting higher born than they originally were.
I imagine there's a, if anybody's a Parks and Rec fan, there's a scene in Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson goes to a Lowe's and somebody tries to like assist him, and he just looks at him and goes, "I know more than you," and just keeps walking. And I imagine that's how Davos' sons are with the other ship captains.
Yeah.
They're just like, "No, what are you doing?"
There is one part at the bottom of 150 though where Allard is not impressed with the new sigil that Stannis has taken.
yeah.
He says it was a bad idea to burn the 7.
Yeah, exactly. They're more in line with Davos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're tight with Davos. And I think Dale is his oldest and Allard is his second oldest. I'm not sure. But Stannis isn't too into R'hllor. I mean, on page 146, when they're burning this, it says Stannis watched impassively. And later on, when Stannis is talking to Davos, he basically comes out as an atheist. Like, Stannis is, as far as I can tell, an atheist at this point, at least.
Yeah, because of his experience watching his parents die, which I think is a totally justified position for Stannis. For him to experience that and have that reaction, I think makes perfect sense for his character.
Especially when, other people are saying, like justice and mercy come from the gods, and he says something about like he's only seen it come from men. And I get it, man. When something really awful happens in our world, and people say everything happens for a reason, I hate that.
Yeah, I hate
phrase.
that too.
I hate that saying everything
Me too.
happens for a reason, because it's, no, not everything happens for a reason. Sometimes shit just happens, and it might be nice to try to say that there's a better cause for it, but I don't buy into it.
I think his relationship with Melisandre is just, he explains it with the hawk metaphor, and that's it. It's just a tool.
Yep, he needs a new hawk.
And we
Red hawk. Yeah.
We see from Davos' point of view the poisoning, that he knows what happened, and that he would have gladly killed Melisandre. He doesn't want her around. But I think it's interesting to see his perspective that in everything, and maybe this will change as he grows in confidence as an advisor to Stannis, but he still sees himself as the Onion Knight, and that he will support Stannis however he can, but that he has no right to question.
Yeah.
He can give truth, but not question.
What are you thinking about this chapter?
I was thinking, I can kind of see people's names. Someone talking about the pine casks.
Yeah.
And they're right to be concerned, and that's true. I think the point that James is trying to make is that they don't know how to ask for things.
Yeah.
They're not like Davos, where Davos is super grateful for things that he has, even though those things, not having fingers is really inconvenient. Having shitty green pine casks is inconvenient. But it's just the way that they think about these things.
But I don't think that they're coming at it from we're from a lordly family now. They're coming at it from we need this so that our sailors don't get sick.
Yeah, right. I don't want to be misconstrued as I'm not calling them dicks or anything. I think they're right, but I think it's best summed up on 151. His sons were good fighters and better sailors, but they did not know how to talk to lords.
Yeah,
they don't know how to talk to lords. They don't know how to be deferential when it would be most political to do so. Because Davos, this whole chapter is talking about how the lords ignore him. If Stannis falls, they'll oust him. When he's going up the steps, only two of them, Celtigar and Valeron? I don't know. They curtly nod at him, the rest ignore him. And he never responds with bitterness in his thoughts, in his inner monologue. He doesn't think about I'm getting, they're not respecting me like they should. Mm-hmm. I think he recognizes that I'm new to this position. I've got to just do my time and hope for a better life for my kids.
I do really like where we get, I'm not sure where it is, but we get his justification for his love of Stannis. I think this is, that's the Burning Sword.
Well, he says he would be nothing without or everything
Everything
that
I
he is?
am, on 148, that paragraph where he talks about all of his things and how good of a life he has now. I think that's a perspective that we're lacking elsewhere in the series, is just how good, and it goes kind of hand in hand with the Arya chapter a little bit with the problems in the Riverlands. We're looking at he's just how good he has it now being a lord, and the small things, the things he talks about, like his wife was mistress of a small keep with servants who call her milady, and how he's just like, this is great. Like, this is a great life for my wife, and I love how devoted he is to his wife. And like, he can hunt deer in his own woods, like these little things that he's just so appreciative for, and it's touching, and it endears you to Davos as a reader, I think, in a way that we don't have from a lot of other characters. I think our devotion to other characters is based largely off of like tropes and assumptions, like this is the hero, this is the damsel in distress, this is whatever, in these kind of high fantasy tropes. Davos we relate to because he's a good man, and I really enjoy that about his character.
Clarence Chow, #1 Balon Swan fan person, said, pointed out that Patchface does some more creepy ass foreshadowing here.
I underlined that too, yeah.
Where is it? What does he say? Because it kind of comes out of nowhere. It just comes and goes.
Page 149.
149.
Under the sea, smoke rises and bubbles, and flames burn green and blue and black.
I know. I'm pretty sure that's referring to Blackwater. With the
wildfire.
Underwater green flames, So we'll get that one. That's fun.
I like how
It's all kinds of stuff.
Davos is wondering on that same page if he should speak the words as well. Is that God his God now too? And then later we have the answer going back to Stannis giving him everything. He says it politically to Salladhor Saan when he asks, but he says that, oh, Stannis is my God. He's given me everything. And I think that's the way he sees him. Speaking of Salladhor, can I read the Forging of Lightbringer?
The Forging of Light. Go for it, yeah.
I've heard this so many times. Thank you, Radio Westeros. Let's see. Do you know the tale of the Forging of Lightbringer? I shall tell it to you. It was a time when darkness lay heavy on the world. To oppose it, the hero must have a hero's blade, like none that had ever been. And so for 30 days and 30 nights, Azor Ahai labored sleepless in the temple, forging a blade in the sacred fires. Heat and hammer and fold, heat and hammer and fold. Oh, yes, until the sword was done. Yet when he plunged it into water to temper the steel, it burst asunder. Being a hero, it was not for him to shrug and go in search of excellent grapes such as these. So again he began. The second time it took him 50 days and 50 nights, and this sword seemed even finer than the first. Azor Ahai captured a lion to temper the blade by plunging it through the beast's red heart, but once more the steel shattered and split. Great was his woe, and great was his sorrow then, for he knew what he must do. 100 days and 100 nights he labored on the third blade, and as it glowed white-hot in the sacred fires, he summoned his wife. Nisa, Nisa, he said to her, for that was her name, bare your breast, and know that I love you best of all that is in this world. She did this thing, why I cannot say, and Azor Ahai thrust the smoking sword through her living heart. It is said that her cry of anguish and ecstasy left a crack across the face of the moon, but her blood and her soul and her strength and her courage all went into the steel. Such is the tale of the Forging of Lightbringer, the Red Sword of Heroes. Awesome story, stuff that we can point back to later on in the series as we try to try to decipher who the new Azor Ahai is, and as we kind of figure out that it's not Stannis, but that's why this sword, the flaming sword, was thrust into the heart of the mother's statue that he pulls out, so it'll be Lightbringer. Yeah, such a great passage.
Can I read a little bit of that in the accent that Roy Dotrice does
Oh,
for
yeah.
Salladhor Saan?
no.
What's up?
I'm gonna read it first and then tell you what it is,
Okay.
because you'll know. Do you know the tale of the Forging of Lightbringer? I shall tell it to you.
Lord.
It was a time when darkness lay heavy on the world.
All right.
To oppose it. Yeah, it's a bad Monty
Oh
Python
my
level
God.
French accent.
Oh God, it
Ooh,
sounds
I'm
like Eugene Levy from Almost Heroes. Have any of you seen that movie with Matthew
I've
Perry
seen
and
it. Chris Farley.
I have
Farley?
not seen that.
Basically, he's doing like a, hey, Davos, we burn golds all the time in Lys. We burn this one, we burn that one. It is boring how many gods we burn. It's fantastic. Oh, also, Dotrice Dotrees changes his Davos. Last time I complained in the
Good.
prologue, it was crazy, like a hustler and a witch.
Yeah.
But now it's proper. Like, it's in the same audiobook, but it's
That's
a
weird.
lowborn, like, gruff smuggler. It makes
weird.
sense now.
Maybe Crescent just had bad hearing.
Yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right.
I really like, we get a little bit of description of two of Stannis' men. Lord Celtigar, who's apparently just this fucking...
Crabs.
Yeah, crabs.
Crabs, yeah. But he's also just, he really sucks up to Stannis. Celtigar pronounced it admirable. If I showed him the contents of my privy, he would declare that admirable as well.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome.
Stannis making jokes.
Yep, Stannis' jokes. And then Sir Axel Florent, namesake of our
Yeah.
stuffed fox here, who is just this crazy, like, religious nut. Just a total religious fanatic. He was Castellan of Dragonstone for 10 years, kind of running the place while Stannis was at the small council. And now he is the foremost of the Queen's men, which, as it is revealed, is these are guys who are all into the Lord of Light, and they surround the Queen and Melisandre and are like all for her. But yeah, like Axel Florent stops Davos on the stairs and just like gives him a sermon pretty much, and Davos is like, I gotta go.
I also think it's interesting that Davos points out that House Florent has declared for Renly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there are two Florents, the green apples and the red apples.
No, that's
Fossaway.
Fossways.
Whoops.
So this is
My
just
bad.
this
How
is just
dare
an
you.
Uncle Florent who has broken from the rest of the family
Yeah.
because of religion.
True
which
believer.
I think is really interesting when you think about Stannis' cause, and that's a nice little indicator of just how much of a problem it is, this new religion, and why I think Davos makes such a good point with, like, you're going to alienate everyone because you say done in the light of the Lord or whatever in the letter instead of in the sight of the gods old and new, or done in the light of the seven or whatever he suggests. This is also the point we've brought it up before. Make it Sir Jaime the Kingslayer henceforth. Whatever else the man may be, he remains a knight. And I don't know we ought to call Robert my beloved brother either. He loved me no more than he had to, nor I him.
A harmless courtesy, Your Grace.
A lie. Take it out.
Yeah. He will not lie. He wants accuracy.
Yeah.
It's interesting, this passage, because it's different from the show in that he's sending ships, he's sending birds. He's sending everyone as far as they can go to, as they decide, to read it in person and have this proclaimed. And I think that just shows how big of an initiative this is going to be.
It's also interesting from a tactics perspective too. This is a propaganda war.
Yeah.
This is something that we haven't really seen yet. We've seen Tywin use terror as a tactic, and now Stannis is using propaganda. And I think that Stannis is recognizing that one can be more effective than the other to compensate for the fact that he doesn't have the numbers.
Yeah.
So he's trying to win people over to his cause using information.
Like you said, there's 4 kings and 3 of them have more men than him.
Got to rewrite that narrative.
Yep. And
This is kind of what Daenerys does in the show. Like season 6,
Mm-hmm.
she has a red priestess start to go, preach her name.
yeah. Yeah, you
So
gotta
we
win the
do-
hearts of the people.
Yeah, so we start to see a little of that.
Stannis has no care for the hearts of the people. He almost rejects the gods that didn't help him. He rejects the people who weren't willing to side with him, but he will be their ruler anyway.
Yeah, because he has to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then just a little bit of foreshadowing of probably the next Davos chapter, or maybe the one after that, of what's going to happen. There's proof of a sword at Storm's End. He's talking about Edric Storm that he wants to get, but how are men to see him if he's at Storm's End? And Stan says, yeah, it's a difficulty. So we're going to see how they get Edric Storm and how they breach
man.
Storm's End. Yep.
The Hawk story we've talked about.
Proudwing. Yep.
Yep.
Anything else, guys, before we move on to our final chapter?
Oh, good time on this one, guys.
Yeah.
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 Because that Arya chapter sucked.
Thought it was good.
It sucked.
Do any of you know this reference? I feel like they're singing a song. I don't know what it is. What song are you guys singing in the chat?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. Theon time.
Hey, Davos, why don't you have some grapes with me?
Is that? Oh, I thought you were
Solid.
doing Watto for a second.
Oh,
That's who it sounded like.
Oh, that's right. Interchangeable, those two.
We might have a fun video coming up with Watto too.
Ooh.
Ooh, a tease. Oh, it's Hamilton.
Oh.
we should've known.
Yeah.
Should have
Should've
known.
I don't understand how people know the entire Hamilton soundtrack.
If I could
it's
just
so
download that
long.
soundtrack into my brain to just be on the same level as all you guys,
I would. It's just a lot of
Listen to it more,
soundtrack.
yeah.
I don't have time to. Well, I have the time. I just listen to podcasts instead.
You have a commute, don't you?
Maybe after the election.
It's not like commute music. I don't know. Like, I don't get it.
Anytime, anywhere, you gotta get it in.
Okay. Final chapter. Theon 1.
Oh no, I thought we were done, guys. We're done, right? We don't need to discuss this.
What are you
fucking
talking about? This
chapter.
was my favorite
Yeah.
chapter
I-
reading besides the Tyrion.
I hated being in his
enjoyable
head.
How much he's awful.
Yeah, it's
He's
great.
the worst.
It's great to see how awful Theon is
God.
after having a book where most of the characters were like, Theon's pretty awful, but Rob's like, Theon's not that bad. Then we get inside his head and it's like, no, Theon fucking
Theon
sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
And then we see, oh, maybe it's because the place where he comes from fucking sucks.
Yeah, like in game I would always point out the first sentences of new characters.
Yeah.
Here there was no safe anchorage at Pike, and that's just so telling
Yeah.
of what of Theon's whole experience.
And then
Let's-
on that first
yeah.
page still is
Yeah.
Theon being like, well, it's like
We
he
could
wants
go the convenient way.
Yeah, but no,
But-
just because I want to see it a certain way, take me this way.
Yeah.
And that's the first of many, many, many instances in this chapter of Theon just being this arrogant prick. And it's no wonder that everyone hates him. Theon's a tragic character.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a
Whatever.
he's a tragic character.
It's
throughout
hard.
the
It's
series.
very hard to
He
sympathize.
kind of deserves what he gets.
That's what I was gonna say. It's hard not to look. I mean, you
It's
can't say he
hard-
deserves everything he gets.
No one deserves.
That.
Well-
yeah. No.
No one deserves that. But it's hard because he
I can't. I mean, we'll get
What?
into it when it happens.
he's almost as much of a bastard as Jon is. Like, he doesn't have a home. You know, like, he's not at home with the Starks. He's not at home with his actual family. Like, he has nowhere to go. But also, fuck Theon. You know, like, it's
John's
hard
not excited to reave and rape.
Yeah.
But I
That's
think
all Theon's looking forward to. It's like, yeah, we're gonna take back the old ways.
Yeah.
No, but he's not though.
No, that's what he's excited to do when he gets there, though.
No, but he's not. He doesn't understand what that means. I disagree. He's not excited to take back the old ways. He's just excited to be Lord of Casterly Rock.
Oh,
he wants
yeah.
to be. He wants to
And
be
King of
Prince
the Iron
Theon,
Islands.
King of the Iron Islands
sure.
eventually.
Yeah.
And Lord of Casterly Rock. He doesn't understand what the old ways mean. He just knows that
He has forgotten.
the image of the Ironborn is that they're just these great warriors, and he thinks of himself that way. But when he's confronted with the old ways, he's laid low, which is cathartic for readers, I think, to see that or read it, I guess. But it's he still just doesn't. He just sucks because he sucks at everything.
people are saying that, or at least one person said they feel more sympathy for him in the show than in the books. Yeah.
Well, Alfie Allen's a good actor.
Alfie Allen's good. He doesn't kick the head of the deserter in the show. He's not as much of just this arrogant prick in the show, although he still is.
Being in
There's
his
not-
head is
yeah.
worse.
Being in his
Already,
head
I
is
will say.
worse, yeah. And I think it's really telling that in Game of Thrones when Ned is killed and he's talking to Catelyn and he's like, Ned was like a father to me. Don't worry, like I'll avenge him. And then our first POV chapter, right away on page 167, a warden name, a hostage in truth. Like he lived in fear of Eddard Stark and that great sword of his.
There's no mention of the Starks for a long time. It's just like, oh, I'm glad I don't see any wolf banners. And
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm glad I'm finally free of them. He does admit having an affection for Robb, but that's it. Like he didn't like Catelyn. He was afraid of Ned. The kids were little kids, and he hated Jon because, and of course, he just assumes that Jon is jealous of him. Which I mean, maybe to some degree he is, but
John he
hated
doesn't
Theon,
think
too.
he doesn't think of him at all.
that was a Mad Men quote.
Yeah.
They do change Asha to Yara, Chicago critic Gerald.
That's right.
And the greeting does not happen. It's Aaron Damphair who.
Oh,
greets
yeah.
What'd you think about
Theon.
that? You didn't know that was?
No, I thought that.
There's no like horseback ride.
There's
while
There's
they're
no
stealing-
feeling up your
happens
sister.
later.
It happens later.
Okay, but it
wow.
doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, especially because in the show we also don't get damp hair for 3 seasons later.
Yeah.
4 seasons later.
4 seasons.
Oh
later.
yeah, because he.
Why not put a space between damp and hair?
What? No, it makes sense for me. Oh, why? Are you complaining
Damn
that it looks
fair.
like damn fair?
It
Damp
looks
hair.
like damp hair.
Who's Dan Fair? Is that
Damp
somebody?
hair.
Damp hair.
What?
Aaron.
PH
Greyjoy.
Yeah.
makes an F sound.
Yeah.
I can't tell if Joel's doing a
if you
bit.
don't
No, wait, what are you talking
if
about?
if you don't put together that it's a damp
Oh,
hair,
I see what
Aaron's
you're
name is
saying.
Damp hair.
Yeah, but you just
but knowing that there's a new character with a name in a strange land
Yeah.
that we don't understand.
you just read the P though.
Yeah, just read the P.
Sure.
It never occurred to me.
I'm just saying.
One of the themes throughout Theon's chapter is him forgetting.
Yeah.
And it comes up a bunch.
Forgetting that he's forgotten.
I circled at least 3 times.
Well, can we just say for one thing
Yeah.
before we move on, the Rorschach test?
Oh yeah.
Theon fails it so hard. It's my comment.
It's my.
He's the
comment.
only one to claim it's my comment.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
true.
wait.
And
It's
there's-
my
oh,
comment.
Comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
The comment's for
It's
me.
for me.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even give. I think it's interesting that he doesn't read into it. There's no like it represents this, it represents that. It's just it's mine.
Right, I circled
Yeah.
it, and then I was looking
No
like what his
other-
expansion
Nope.
on that is. Nope.
None.
It's mine.
Just mine.
He's just so entitled. He's such a dick. You know.
So
You know what it
entitled.
reminded me, especially the little passage where he's like getting dressed and everything. It's like a kid who's from like a small town, like a farm town or something or whatever, and then goes to like a big college and gets into a frat. And then is friends with all these like rich frat kids, and is like, I got all the bling. I got this white belt. I got this chain, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna roll in and be awesome. And then all of his like small town people are like, fuck
Yeah,
you.
look at this big city boy.
Yeah, mainlander. Like,
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, page 170. Theon had forgotten that that the sea meant freedom to the many of the Iron Islands, and then of course on 177, his uncle. You warned a servant of the drowned god boy. You have forgotten more than you know, which is totally true. And then it comes up at least once more, and it might be his. Theon touched the gold chain. He had forgotten about the iron price and the gold price. This is all about Theon forgetting his roots and Balon calling him out. But I mean, come on, Balon, your roots suck.
Yeah.
They suck.
Your roots are not sustainable.
Yeah, Chelsea's whole thing is what's your rant against the Iron Islands?
It's not economically sustainable.
true.
You can't just not sow. Like you can't just take, because if you take all the stuff, then like
yeah, just
That's
like
literally-
ignore like the foundation of
yeah,
civilization.
you have to invest
That's other people's
in
problems.
future.
right.
And there wasn't a clear answer to me in the show as to how they'd gotten by without doing that. So it was interesting to learn in this chapter that it's through mining.
Mining, yeah, but not for anything awesome. Just like lead and like tin.
or
Yeah.
iron
Is
ore.
that
It
why
seems
they're all
like,
crazy?
and Damp Hair reiterates this, that they're in a
like all
kind of
lead
subsistence
exposure.
period.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Like,
probably.
what if
Wait,
they're
what?
Sorry, hold on.
what?
no,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Chelsea.
I was
That's
talking
awesome.
about how they're all crazy because they mine for lead and they're just all exposed to lead and they've all just like gone nuts.
That's awesome.
But like, what if? though?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
that's
great. And then like how they're
And it infects all their water. and
Yeah.
shit.
iron, lead, and tin. Those are our treasures.
yeah, and Harry Harlaw, the wait, is it Harry? The reader
Harlaw.
who we
Wait,
meet
what?
later.
Oh, way
Like
later.
he doesn't mind and he reads books, so he's a regular person.
Oh, there's theory.
Feast.
Lead poisoning.
I love it.
I like it too.
To the subreddit.
Yeah, I bet that theory exists.
Probably.
You can't come up with a new
Well,
theory.
let's just say it doesn't, and Chelsea came up with something awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, just we can just keep listing why Theon's awful.
Roderick Harlaw. Thank you, Javier.
Will be below in my cabin. He led the girl away aft while her father watched them go in sullen silence. The cabin was the captain's, in truth.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's like,
I'm
hey,
gonna go
I'm going to
fuck
take your
your
daughter down here now in your
No,
cabin.
and he
treats
can't
her so
do
horribly.
anything.
He treats her horribly, and he takes pleasure in the captain's disapproval.
Mm-hmm.
He did not think the captain approved, and that was amusing as well, watching the man struggle to swallow his outrage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God.
I know.
Just like not doesn't treat her
Yeah.
like none of it's okay.
And the most saddest thing is like she's so infatuated with him
Yeah.
because he took her virginity, and it's really sad.
And he says, "Hey,
That's the worst.
you're probably pregnant. Good luck with that."
Right? Yeah, you're lucky. You're welcome. You're welcome.
And then it's such a patriarchal bullshit culture that she knows that it's gonna be her fault and her dad's gonna punish her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because fuck
She's gonna get killed.
everything.
Like she's straight.
but
Like
hey,
you know.
fathers are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also, does she have a name in this chapter? I don't think she does.
No.
She's the
No.
captain's daughter the entire time.
Well, it's for and I don't think that's a knock against George. I think that's
Oh yeah.
Oh
That's
no,
Theon.
of course. That's how
Yeah,
shitty
yeah, for
Theon
sure.
is.
yeah,
That's
that's
just a
Theon's
narrative.
POV.
George is really like there's some really great just lines that George writes for him. Like he's talking about the people on the shore when they don't recognize him on 173. Yeah. Well, they look at him with their blank bovine eyes.
Yeah, and then
Such
I
disdain.
And then he saw no familiar faces, no honor guard waiting to escort him, only small folk going about their small business. Like he, oh god.
Oh, you're so great, Theon.
I love that we do get shout outs to Euron and Victarion. So, I mean, they're going to be big characters later on in Feast. Is
And
it Feast?
Yes, and I think it's important to note that Euron's absent.
Euron's ship Silence is nowhere to be found. But
Hashtag name the captain's daughter.
is Victarion there?
No, he's not. He's somewhere else at the moment. They talk
Yeah,
about
he's
him.
on one of the other islands, I think. I don't think he's at Pike.
Oh, okay. No, he's I think you're thinking of Cleftjaw,
Oh, yeah,
who
yeah.
went to Old Wick. It doesn't mention Victarion or where he is.
I thought Balon said that where he was.
Does he?
Guys, Salt Wives? Is it Salt Wives because of semen?
No, I
Oh,
think
no,
it's
it's from the
salt wives
sea.
because they're
The salt.
Like
They have the
ocean
rock
The salt
wife
tower.
on
who's
land.
on
I know,
land.
but it kind of works the other way too.
Well, they do call it out because
yeah.
he fucking. Well, I don't want. Oh,
I know it's gross,
God damn
but
him.
like it also works
Ugh.
on that level.
Yeah, salty
Yeah.
like the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I do like though? That's not in the
Tell
show
us.
is this recollection of him traveling with the Mallisters.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah!
noted that too.
How
Like,
they just like
but that's more of my like frat guy argument.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, him and the younger
him
Mallister.
and Patrick Mallister. who
oh
are
my
just like,
god, someone just decided the captain's daughter's name is Skittles, and I agree. That's
Trey
headcanon
B,
now.
sure, Skittles.
Skittles.
Poor Skittles.
Poor Skittles.
Oh.
She deserves better.
Yeah, because when Theon leaves Robb and Catelyn, they're like, okay, he's gonna go with the Mallisters to Seaguard and then go to the Iron Islands, and I was like, wait, does that happen? And then it happens, and he talks about it a
Yeah.
bunch, and I found it really enjoyable.
And then they like laugh heartily and go off to fuck a lady.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like just
Together.
the one lady.
I know.
Wait, I missed that.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the
Damn it.
one like farmer's daughter
Yeah.
or something, where it's like, hey, I know this gal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, if your father supposes I bear him some enmity for killing my brother Roderick, it's only because he never knew Roderick. They had a laugh over that as they raced ahead to an amorous young miller's wife that Patrick knew.
Yeah.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I like how like Jason Mallister killed Theon's brother, which like to any other character would be like a huge offense.
Yeah, Theon don't care.
And Theon's just like whatever. fuck
But he's
that
got a
guy.
cover for that when he's talking to Balon.
Yeah.
He thinks about it and doesn't verbalize it, that he remembers what... Shit, where was I? I just had it. Yeah, he remembered Roderick's drunken cuffs and Marin's cruel japes and endless lies. So, I mean, okay, let's give that much credit to Theon. He had a rough upbringing, shitty brothers, and obviously
Yeah,
a
but
shitty
like
dad.
so does every
Yeah.
single
I know,
person
I
in
know.
this
I'm just
series.
trying to be fair. I hate Theon as much as anyone. All right, but
Also, he's just delusional. On that same page, he's laying out what he thinks is his plan for the Greyjoys now. And he's saying, well, you know what? Let's go down and take Casterly Rock. And as my reward, I would ask that you grant me Casterly Rock for my own seat once we have taken it from the Lannisters. With the rock, he could hold Lannisport and the Golden Lands of the West. It would mean wealth and power such as House Greyjoy had never known. I just wrote in the sides, just like, Bah ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like that's not happening.
And, like-
His dad's
Dumb
response:
kid.
"You reward yourself handsomely for a notion and a few lines of scribbling." Love that.
Yeah.
And then also the
Balin's
language
right.
of like, grant me.
But hey, I just noticed it. At that point, is there a missing quotation mark there?
Where?
No,
185?
he keeps talking.
No, because that's Theon talking.
Oh, he's just thinking about the
And
glory
then-
for himself.
And then his father is talking in this next
Oh,
paragraph.
well then.
So yeah, we're
Wait,
missing-
where?
Oh.
within the rocky. Oh,
No,
no,
it's
I'm sorry.
earlier
You're
in
right.
the-
You're right.
yeah.
You're right.
yeah.
Oh,
I didn't note that.
It would mean wealth and power, such as that's a thought.
I should have had my own Theon
Oh,
voice.
yeah.
I would ask you to grant me custody rock for my own seed.
Can I say your Theon voice?
That's my Theon.
What's Roy Dotris's?
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's good.
Okay.
Also, Theon's room or wherever he's staying sounds so fucking gross.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it
this
hasn't
is,
been
like,
opened in
giant,
years.
yeah.
It's probably all mildewy.
Yeah, that gave me pneumonia just like reading about
Your
it.
allergies probably.
Oh
acted out.
I know, my allergies. I would not survive there.
It's like change the
It's
rushes,
so much
please.
mold.
What are rushes again?
It's
the
the
straw in the
plant
bed.
that you lay on the straw, like you
Oh,
lay on the
okay.
floors.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Important to note on page 181, but Greyjoys were not murdered in Pike except once in a great while by
Oh
their
yeah.
brothers.
I underlined that as well.
So it sounds like there's a history of fratricide,
Ah.
of brothers killing each other. Is that frowned upon as it is throughout the rest of Westeros as kinslaying?
I don't think as much because it's paying the iron price for the sea stone chair.
Okay.
Like, I think that that's what it is. And which is why I think Theon is so relieved that his brothers are dead. He doesn't have to contend with them. He doesn't think that his uncles are a threat because they're old. He points out that Victarion is old and that Euron's gone.
He does point out that Victarion's
So,
old. Aemon is, or Aeron isn't as old, but clearly he's,
He's out of the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Aeron is.
Aeron's a tragic character, too. A lot of the Greyjoys, Theon notwithstanding because he deserves it, but Aeron...
Aeron looks gross.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
has dried seaweed braided through his waist-long black hair and untrimmed beard.
He
Yeah.
smells bad.
He smells
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah,
like
he's just wet
rotting fish.
constantly.
Yeah.
Like, I bet his skin is, like, spongy.
Ugh.
Like, you could probably, like, poke through him.
And yeah, he's just such a grim guy.
Yeah.
I like him.
You like Aeron?
Yeah.
He's an interesting character.
He's very interesting.
He is, and he
Yeah.
I just like that he
gets more interesting.
has no patience
Yeah,
for Theon.
sure.
Oh, and he has tragic backstory.
He does.
That's what I mean. He has
Oh.
very tragic
What
backstory.
is his tragic back? So,
We'll find out.
We'll find
Yeah.
out.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All we know from this chapter is that he used to be
like
happier
a
in his early
different
life.
person.
Yeah.
He was lost at sea at some
he
point.
He was kind of like Theon. He was like a drunk
Sounds like
and a
it.
party guy, and then
He drowned?
He drowned.
But that's not
what
what.
they do.
But that's not
Here's-
what caused the
That
incident.
caused his devotion.
Yeah, he came back
He
from the
came
drowning
back
and
from
was
drowning.
like, drown
and was
God
like,
all
the
the way.
drown God saved me.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But-
it's like him and Patchface are really similar.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what did they see down there?
Oh, some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Also, we
shadows
get-
dancing.
We get the baptism, like a very impromptu baptism. They're just walking along, I think, and then he says, "Okay, just kneel."
Neil, yeah. And he does get baptized in the show in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
don't-
not by Dampier,
I
it's
don't
by a
think
random
this is
priest.
like a baptism, because their baptism involves
Yeah,
actually
you
drowning.
actually, like,
That's
some
right.
people just
Right.
don't survive.
But I think this is more
is
of just a
nuts.
like you got to
They're
this is like crossing yourself with holy water when you walk into a church.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, do you know the words? Oh, good, you do.
Oh, yeah. His lungs filled with seawater and the fish ate the scales off his eyes.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Dampier.
Yeah.
yeah.
And they let him see the light.
Yeah.
See, I love Iron Island stuff.
The
I would
culture's
hate to
really
be there.
interesting. Theon sucks. A lot of the rest of the Greyjoys are interesting characters. Theon sucks.
But he's a great character. His arc is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's sure.
It's just a miserable place to read about
Yeah.
because it's gross, but they're really interesting.
I think it's interesting
characters.
enough to balance it out. It's the last place I would want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. The last few Theon chapters in this book I have a really hard time with.
At Winterfell?
Yeah.
There's some interesting stuff.
It's only going to get difficult from here.
Anything else?
Well, we should discuss what
the
Balon says
plan?
his plan is.
Yeah, because, Theon's plan isn't that bad. Sir Stefford is going to,
It's
march away from Lannisport,
Arguably
leave it.
a better plan.
Theon's
I don't
plan?
think so.
I think so.
Well,
because
take Casterly
it's
Rock.
a
I
richer prize.
I don't think he's going to take
You
Casterly
can't
Rock.
take Casterly Rock, but you can take Lannisport, lay siege to it. You could take what's the other castle over there on the coast of the Westerlands? It's not Graessle. That's in the Riverlands.
That's
It's there's other castles over there. You could the Westerlands are a richer prize than the west coast of the North.
But I think you'd be doing it out of some kind of loyalty or just aid to the Starks.
That's a side effect, but it's then it's just out of spite. You're raiding a
Yeah,
less,
and then
No,
also-
and
it
winter's
is
coming.
Graessle, right?
It is Graessle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. Game of Thrones Risk, is that what you were thinking?
It was Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, I was trying to.
I thought
visit
you
the
were
map.
talking about Cracklaw, and it's on
No.
the other
Oh,
side.
yeah.
yeah.
But it's
That's near the Erie?
Yeah.
Or that's in the Vale?
yeah,
wanna
but
play
there's
that game.
it would be a better choice, I think, to given the weather,
And also,
to go south.
going north, you are pissing off Robb and the Starks.
Yeah.
Going to Lannisport, you're not pissing them off, and the Lannisters aren't going to like you either way. So
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
taking Winterfell.
But the Lannister forces are already down there.
Balon's plan,
I
though.
know, but
yeah.
Lannister forces are already down there. They're not in the north. They're
But
vulnerable.
they're going to ride west to meet Robb.
East.
East, right? You're sorry.
Who's to say later on that they can't go down to Lannisport or those cities?
They don't have those forces.
They don't have the numbers.
They can't do that.
They
No,
definitely
no.
have
I'm
that
saying like
number.
they get stronger by having raided the north. Then they go down.
But then
You
you've pissed
can't
off the
conscript
Starks.
people into your cause, and that's not something that the Ironborn would do anyways.
well, they
Yeah.
would. They would take them back and have them put them in their minds.
I forget what's the place he's planning on taking
The
right
Stony
now.
The Stony Shore.
That's right. Okay, I couldn't remember.
And the bite.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to take the neck.
I'm
and
surprised
cut
they
off
don't
his
get up
retreat.
to Bear Island. Maybe it's just a little too far.
And winter's coming.
Yeah, you don't
Is
want
Bear
fucking
Island on the
North.
same side?
Yes.
Ah.
It's on the west side.
Far north.
Far north.
I was surprised to see that there were Ibbenese sailors.
Yeah, the
So it's
Ibbenese
so
get
far.
around, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's Bear Island. And they're off over here.
Got it.
Yeah.
There was one little passage that I enjoyed because
Oh, wow.
It was a-
Iron Islands are down here.
Yeah,
Holy
they're
shit.
basically they're pretty much south.
I always think of the Iron Islands as being,
yeah.
if you're
Off
looking at a
the
map,
coast to the north, but they're
yeah,
not.
I think of them as directly west of the Stony Shore, but they're not. They're south. They're like west of the Twins. They're even south of the Twins.
Yeah,
a little bit.
that's why Seaguard is there as
Yeah. Holy shit. Wow. Okay.
yeah. So
What were you saying, Joel?
as an example of just seeing like transparently through Theon, he's with Aaron, and he has what he thinks is a clever observation. He thinks about Asha's ship Blackwind, and then he thinks that Robb has a wolf named Greywind. It's like, oh, Stark is gray and Greyjoy's black. And then the priest had nothing to say.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not clever,
what the
Theon.
fuck are you talking
I
about?
think like all the times that Theon was smiling before, like he had his own personal joke, were just what was in front of everyone else. Just like Theon thought it was the funniest shit. It was not.
Okay.
all right, we're gonna go into next week's.
Yeah. Kill some time while I figure out what the next week's assignment is. It's definitely
Sure.
Daenerys 1.
Let's do Q&A.
Q&A. Give us some Q's. We'll give you some
It's getting
A's.
dark so early.
I
here.
hate
I
it.
know, look
it's
at
so
the
gloomy.
lights.
Is this Tyrion 3, the next Tyrion we're reading?
Yes. Q&A, guys.
Nope.
It'll update in a second.
Yeah.
There we go.
Is that our first brand?
Yeah.
No.
No, brand 2. We had a brand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Little Walders.
I just don't want to
Load
watch
the
Westworld.
I know.
You want what?
Fancy. I just want to watch Westworld.
Oh,
Don't-
yeah, how many episodes
don't
are you
spoil
guys
it
in?
in the chat. We're
Probably should. I watched 4
Nice.
before we started, and
Yeah.
it was the best episode so far.
Yeah, 4 is great.
Oh, that's when we're gonna watch.
Yep,
tonight.
that's our next one.
So
So-
good, so good. We're not going to do a Westworld post-show stream. We're not going to be an after-show channel. And we do Game of Thrones because we love Game of Thrones.
I wouldn't be opposed to an after show.
Yeah,
No.
neither would I.
Maybe
but
I
next season.
am opposed to an after-show.
All right,
I'm
but we
stating
are
it
gonna
on
ta-
the record. I'm opposed
we
to an
are
after
going to
show.
talk about Westworld on Wednesday, though.
We will talk. That's
yeah,
true.
mention that.
Yeah, there you go.
Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern, we will be live streaming on Bigo, a live streaming app, and we're going to be talking. We'll probably be talking all about Westworld, I would imagine,
A lot of it, yeah. It's BIGO.
BIGO, download that app, and
It's free.
Free app at 8 o'clock Pacific. We will be talking about probably all of Westworld. TV.
I like this theory. Do you think that Skittles carrying Theon's baby will eventually come into play now that he can't conceive? Interesting.
Oh.
No, I think that would be too much.
It's
like,
an interesting thought, but yeah, I don't think it'll happen.
Plus,
Maybe
I
it would
think
happen as like
that-
a little coda to Theon's story.
I think that ship's captain's gonna kill her.
Really? I don't think it's not foreshadowed that heavily.
I don't know.
It's still his daughter.
Yeah, I don't think he'll kill her. He'll just, beat her. Don't
Did
laugh at that.
someone
No,
did someone
you just
ask
like, well, at least you won't kill her.
favorite house and or minor house? My favorite minor house is the Mormons.
What about the Royces?
Royces are pretty cool too because they're first men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like a mid-major.
Danes are cool.
That's what Javier says. Danes is almost everyone's favorite minor house.
I like Manderleys.
Oh,
of
Manderleys
course.
are pretty cool too. Book Manderleys for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't decided yet. I'm just still getting to know everyone.
You still know everyone.
I just met House Myatt this week.
I like the mountain clan, or not the mountain clans from the Vale, but the Highland clans in the north. I like too.
Got a question for everyone.
Yes.
Are you down to read 120 pages?
That's a lot.
no,
We have a
that's
big
too much.
weekend next weekend.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Okay. So we'll do 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
Given that we just did 90,
Because
think
I would
that's-
ideally like to finish Clash in 10 episodes like we did
I-
in the game.
yeah.
It's more pages though. Like
It
if
is
we
more
go
pages,
11, I
so-
don't mind.
All right. We'll probably have to go 11 then. So that means that we're going to be reading from Daenerys 1 to Sansa 2. It sucks that Sansa gets so few chapters.
Spell Daenerys again.
Daenerys. And that'll take us to page 288 in the mass market paperback. If you don't have it, check the Amazon link below to purchase it and give us a nice little kickback. But Daenerys 1 to Sansa 2, I didn't really read through them, so I can't say exactly
Is
what we're
this
going to be reading through.
Is this the riot in Sansa 2?
Oh.
It might be.
That makes
Whatever.
sense.
We'll
right?
find out.
Yeah.
Anything that we like better in the book, in the show, and vice versa. Tyrion and Arya is better in the show.
Tyrion and Arya?
Or Tywin and Arya.
Oh,
Regarding
yeah, we'll get to
the
that.
second
We'll get
book.
to that. Like I said, that one line from Tyrion
one line.
to Jaina
Yeah.
Slint is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a brief mention of her. Marjorie in the show is way better.
Marjorie in the show is way
Because she's actually a
better.
character.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that's plenty of stuff is better in the books. There's too many things to say that are better in
Yeah.
the books.
Skittles Lives. Come up with a better hashtag than Skittles Lives, and we can make some kind of
I
hashtag
think it's
with
Liz.
Skittles. Oh, Liz. That makes
Oh,
more
were you
sense.
thinking like Black Lives Matter? I was like, no.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
want
We're
to
not
step into
doing
that
that.
quagmire.
Yeah, we're not gonna do
Oh,
that.
Skittles.
Well, if you have 3 Skittles in a jar of 100, do you really let those
Oh my god.
in?
Yeah. Anything else, guys?
Javier is convinced that bastard son's going to be important. Maybe
I think
it
it's
is.
interesting.
That
Yeah,
would be
it's-
interesting.
you
That'd be
know.
an interesting kind of payoff.
Like I said, I'd like it to be like a little coda for Theon, because I feel as though Theon will end mostly redeemed, and maybe after his redemption, he's like,
redeemed and alive, where Skittles can be like, I have your son.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can fully redeem yourself, at least on the show. You can try and do good again, but he won't be redeemed.
I agree with Joel. There's no coming back.
I mean, yeah, fuck them. But like,
Yeah.
All right.
Riot is not next.
Okay, I don't know what we're going to be reading, but all I know is it's not the awful Arya chapter, which we'll give you a heads up on.
Cool.
Wait, there's an awful Arya chapter?
Yeah. The
yeah.
Innkeeper's Daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
no fun.
That's
I
a
forgot
that's a
about that.
trigger week.
Yeah.
Trigger
Yup.
warning week.
All right. Anything else, guys? This was good. This was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
We have to go review a cut of Drunk Disney: The Rescuers, which will be out on Friday.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
fun.
With
Okay.
Omar Najam. That's exciting. And then,
Skittles is Zora High.
then, like we said, Wednesday we'll be streaming on Bigo, B-I-G-O.
That's true.
Check that out. Make sure you guys give a like to this video.
Yeah.
I see only 24 of you have. The others better jump on that
Yeah,
train.
there's 60 of you here. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
36 more.
Subscribe if you haven't. Follow us on Twitter at Practical Folks to just keep updated with all this shit that we're doing. You know, we're always letting you guys know what's
Build a
going on.
lower third with our names and Twitter handles to pop
Yeah.
up right
Oh, that's
there.
not a bad idea.
do
Yeah, I'll do
that.
that for next week.
Next week.
And
Getting better all the time.
yeah, thank you guys for coming in.
If
checking in
you
with us.
enjoyed watching Book Club and enjoy all of our videos, please check out the description below for a link to our Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, $12 a year, you can make a huge contribution to the quality of our videos. We really, really appreciate it. All of the stuff that we are currently using to make Book Club happen, minus my computer, is because of patrons and people like you who are watching our videos. So please consider clicking that link below. There are some fun rewards that we're a little bit behind on if you do become a patron. So check that out. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, and we don't
Nice.
do those plugs midway through our show like we should probably, with a show that's 2.5 hours long. You know, any podcast that was this long would have had like 5 breaks
Yeah.
to plug themselves.
I think it's
so.
okay that we don't.
I said some Amazon shit today. I'm the shill.
Okay. Oh yeah, and send us a sigil.
Sigils for sure.
Sigils.
Thanks,
Thank you,
my
Wonderful
wonderful
Towel,
towel.
for working on a sigil. If anybody else has a sigil, please-
Practicalfolks@gmail.com. Send it our way.
Yeah.
Easy to remember.
Mhm.
Easy to write. And next week we'll get to Danny at long last. Because the red waste, we all love that.
No.
I think it's in the books though. I think it's one chapter. Like I think by the end of it, we're like on our way to Karth.
Okay.
So
Not like
I think
5
I'm
episodes.
remembering how terrible it is.
On the show wasn't fun.
Well-
Hashtag Lucy hates outros. Our Lucy?
Yeah, she hates outros.
She's been asleep this
She
whole time.
slept this whole book club. She's conked out.
Well, until next week, guys, I'm James.
I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Joel.
And this has been What's Up with These Books?
Goodbye, everyone.
Oh, bye.
Bye.